Welcome back to...
When are you going to
Tim, let him drive.
He's doing it to me on purpose. He's a son of a bitch.
In a world where nostalgia rages across the land, where everyone and their mother has a podcast, where there's still a movie trailer guy who says, in a world, three friends revisit films, shows, and games that molded them as they search for answers to life, the universe, and everything in between. Settle in and join us for Screen Refresh.
Welcome back to Screen Refresh, a show where we revisit the films, shows, and games from our childhood to try and take another look at what we fell in love with. As always, I'm Dean, forever, and I'm joined for the rest of the Screen Refresh crew, Nick and Tim.
Hello there.
Also, hello there.
Thank you again for coming along for the ride on our movie. Oh wait, that's the ending.
You needed
That's a short one.
You need a little bit more oomph behind that.
Thank you
There
again. We go. Tim has it written in all caps. Yeah, so if you haven't noticed, we are, Tim used to start all these shows, but we've kind of segued into whoever's movie it is gets to talk the most.
Well,
Season 2, baby.
New year, new us. Let's try to make it a bit easier for our viewers to understand. This is Dean's choice.
I put everyone
So whoever
through
does
this.
the intro, if you don't like the movie, you know exactly who to blame.
Yeah, and if you don't like this movie, I'd be surprised because I think it's kind of solid. Like, maybe it's not your total thing, but it's 1988's Ron Howard's Willow. Hold for applause.
Just as fun as I remember.
I've never seen it.
It's your first time. I don't want to
first.
hear
Do you
your. I
enjoy
don't
it?
want to hear your total thought yet. But
Oh, okay, never mind.
Mum's the word.
were you aware of this movie?
Mum, yeah.
Okay. Were you like, I've seen posters. I know that Val Kilmer's in it, but I have no idea. I've never seen a clip.
Pretty much the extent.
Okay.
We could have a whole podcast on just who's in this movie. Because every 5 minutes, it's like, hey, it's that person. Hey, it's this person. They're not in an intro credits. Like, it's nonstop. There's a ton of people in this thing.
You know, it's funny.
Plus, there's characters that I remember being in it more, and I'm like, oh, hey, it's that guy. I remember him. He plays the friend, and all of a sudden the friend's just like, well, I'm going back to town. Bye. And then he doesn't show up until the end. I'm like, oh, I thought you were in more
I
than
know
just
exactly
the
what
first
you
18
mean.
minutes.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
It's like the fellowship begins. Oh, the fellowship ends.
It's funny you mentioned that there's lots of people in this because I do recognize some people, but my shtick I was going to do later was like I introduce. Okay, so this movie stars Val Kilmer, Joanne Whaley, Warwick Davis, and Kevin Pollak. I was like, and now I'll turn it over to Tim to tell us about the rest of the people in this movie.
I mean, we have Billy Barty as Aldwin, the head wizard of the group. We had, I think, was it Tony Cox?
I did recognize Tony from
Plays one
Bad
of the
Santa.
other warriors. He later went on to do like the Bad Santa movies, and all of those. Phil Fondacaro is Vongar. If you've ever seen the movie Troll, with the one true original Harry Potter, he played the friend that lived in one of the other apartments who was like nice to the kids. He also played the troll in it. I forgot the troll's name. But yeah, it's just like a ton of people in this movie. I think David Steinberg is the one that I was thinking of before. He's Migosh. Willow's friend that I'm like, oh yeah, it's David Steinberg. Like, I remember him from
I even remembered his name, like Migosh, and he's barely.
Because in my head as a child, I was like, yeah, it's Migosh and Willow, and that's the Sam and Frodo throughout this thing. And then as soon as they get like 10 minutes into their journey, it's okay. Well, I'm gonna head back. Okay, so long, Migosh. Tell my wife I love her. But if you ever saw the episode,
like, he's no fucking Samwise Gamgee, that's for sure. He's like, well, good luck.
I can't carry the ring, but I can carry you if I wanted to, but I don't. See you at home, Frodo. But if you ever saw the episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark, was it the Tale of Jake and the Leprechaun? David Steinberg plays in that one, and he's like the other wizard who ends up helping the kid, and that's what I knew him from. Then when I saw him with Willow, it's like, oh, it's him from Are You Afraid of the Dark? So it's all those characters that it's so nice just to see them, especially in a movie like this that's just like it's not an Amblin film, but it's like that warm bath of a fantasy adventure.
Yeah, it's I want to say low stakes. It's like it's got some good set pieces in it. It was directed by Ron Howard, best known as Little Opie Taylor from the Andy Griffith Show in the 1960s.
It's a shame he only ever did this after that.
Yeah, he did this and Andy Griffith and not much else.
Happy Days?
I don't think so.
I wasn't paying attention to the camera, you smug son of a bitch.
He had a daughter, I think, she's in some stuff.
Some things. She's in that dinosaur movie, right?
Yeah, that Jurassic Park fan film.
Yeah.
Tammy and the T-Rex.
That's the
one. Also, little known, George Lucas has a story by credit on Willow.
I have some thoughts on that.
Okay, let's hear them.
That's it's kind of peppered in.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say because it makes sense with George Lucas doing the story by, because I feel like Val Kilmer had strong Han Solo energy throughout this movie.
Yeah, I saw Han in Indiana throughout the whole movie.
Oh yeah.
The whole thing you can tell was made by the Lucasfilm group before it was owned by Disney. Because I mean, I've seen Star Wars to the point where it's just permanently engraved in my head, and they used and recycled a lot of sound bites that
blasters.
They played it in this, and then I immediately hear it, and I know, like, that is the sound that they used in Return. They recycled a lot of Return of the Jedi in this.
Willow, stay down!
Even some of the locations too, I thought was amusing. Like, welcome to Endor, and then now we're in Hoth.
You said you saw Indiana Jones. I heard Indiana Jones. There's a chase theme later on. I was like, wait a minute, that sounds like Indiana Jones. But the composer is James Horner, who is a powerhouse of a composer. He has an extremely long list of work. The Rocketeer, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, Field of Dreams, Aliens, Cocoon, Commando. Jumanji, and then lots of stuff. I wasn't even going to list them all. That's just the stuff from the 80s and 90s.
And actually, in terms of Indiana Jones, I think the guy who I was calling him General Shao Kahn, but the general with like the skull mask,
yeah,
I think he's the one who played in, oh God, was it Raiders, where he has the fight with the guy on the plane, the bald guy with the mustache, and then the guy ends up in like the propeller. I'm pretty sure that was him.
Oh, yeah, I think you're right, because his, I think that's his, like, IMDb profile picture is him as that guy.
Yeah.
That's right.
Because that's an image that's just ingrained in my brain of childhood, is seeing him, like all the Indiana Jones movies.
Many people's brains. The movie, it was written by a guy named, Bob Dolman, who doesn't seem like he has a whole lot of credits.
He wrote and directed How to Eat Fried Worms.
I don't know what that is.
I've never seen it either. I just know it's like a kid's film. He did, however, he wrote Far and Away, which I liked. I haven't seen it since I was a kid, but it's like this sprawling Irish epic with Tom Cruise and I think Nicole Kidman, which was also directed by Ron Howard. So like after they worked together on this, they worked together on that.
Oh, that was afterwards.
I don't really. Okay. I think this is one of those like political things where they put someone's name in the credit just to. He didn't. I honestly feel he didn't really lend much to the actual like script.
You mean George Lucas?
I think Lucas had a much stronger say than what the credits are kind of edging on, but I can't prove that. but just watching it, a lot of the dialogue is definitely Lucas. And then just knowing his history with this movie leading up to it finally being filmed, it's definitely him. And I can't tell how much of this is Lucas versus the writer that was credited. What was his name?
Bob Dolman.
Yeah. I mean, not to say that I don't think he doesn't exist. I think he is a real person, but just I think he might have. Well, you know how like some people have uncredited script doctoring, like they helped kind of make it better. I think it's the same thing where like I think Lucas put 95% of a story on the table, but just so that his name wasn't attached to it being his movie, it's like, hey, do you want to just finish the last 5% and you can get the editing or the credit for it. And I think that's what happened, but I mean, don't at me. I have no idea. It's just having a long history with George Lucas and knowing what he's capable of. You could have never showed
positive
me
and ominous.
You have every honor that a man could have. You've got
Almost.
Oscars.
No.
No Oscar?
No Oscars.
The winner is Woody Allen for Annie Hall.
You could have never shown me the first 5 minutes of this movie. I would have immediately known it was like, this is a George Lucas movie, isn't it?
I was going to say, like, seeing this and how it has that very, like, I mean, granted, it's like high fantasy, but it's has that Indiana Jones kind of adventure feel to it. And then knowing that the Indiana Jones movies were Spielberg and George Lucas, it makes me almost wonder, like, how much of that fun adventure feel of a Indiana Jones movie is because of George Lucas's involvement, because
it is.
Spielberg's not on Spielberg. This. It's just George Lucas for the story by, but it still has that same feel.
It's Lucas that helped design the story.
And then we'll have Willow take the baby.
Yeah, because I've noticed he's done like the
George
World War II.
Oh.
What?
No, I just did a bad George Lucas. That's what I said.
Oh.
And then we'll have George. He sounds like Kermit to me in my head right now.
And then we'll have Willow.
Then we'll have
take the baby.
and then we'll have Willow. He'll take the baby.
Then we could have Miss Piggy as the evil queen.
Complete the ritual.
I mean, it is Frank Oz.
Oh yeah! Oh my God! That just clicked with me. Holy shit!
What?
Miss Piggy's
Miss
Frank
Piggy.
Oz.
Oh yeah.
I was like, oh, I hear Yoda in Miss Piggy. Holy shit!
Grover too.
Mind is blown. Speaking
So
of
Dean,
mind,
when did this come out?
before I get to that, speaking, I don't know if you saw on. I just learned this moments ago. Bob Dolman. I clicked on his producer credit, and he's producing a Willow TV show that is slated to come out this year, 2022.
Yep, and Warwick
Starring
Davis,
Warwick
I guess,
Davis.
is playing Willow again.
Yeah.
I checked the cast list. I
old
didn't see
Willow.
any other recognizable character names, so I'm wondering if it's like not. The synopsis says it's a retelling or something of, or like a television version of Willow, but it sounds like it's completely different characters. So I'm wondering if it's just a different story.
I hope it's
but
just a
still
different
has
story.
Willow.
Like a continuation. Maybe, there's nobody recognized on the cast list. Maybe he drove everybody out of town with his magic shows. They just couldn't handle it anymore.
I learned this from the Queen. You're all pigs.
I guess I'm a pig farmer now.
How about that, Burgle Cut?
Bubble butt? That's how I refer to him.
I thought it kept getting pushed back because all the other properties from Lucasfilm kept getting pushed. Every time Disney would make an announcement of like, this is our film plan for the next 3 years, and even though Indy and Willow were on it, it always seemed like they kept getting put on the back burner for more Star Wars content.
Oh, you mean this TV show?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. I might have been aware of this, maybe, but I completely forgot about it. If so I don't know. I haven't heard about it until just now that I can remember.
I had no interest in Willow only because I'd never seen it. Now I'm gonna have much more attention paid
vested
to those.
interest.
And yeah.
Well, the original film came out on May 20th, 1988, released a week after Part 7 of Friday the 13th, The New Blood, and a week before Crocodile Dundee 2, which was battling against Rambo 3 at the box office. So this was 3 weeks in a row, these movies.
Was a bonkers time for film.
Really? I mean, we got Maniac Cop, Killer Clowns.
Yeah, we have Maniac Cop, Killer Clowns from Outer Space, Dead Heat with I think it was like Trace Atkins and Joe Piscopo.
Joe Piscopo, yeah. I don't know
Rambo
that
3,
movie.
Crocodile Dundee 2. Friday Part 7, New Blood, which is essentially what if we have Carrie fight Jason Voorhees. And then this was released the same weekend as Edge of the Axe, which I guess was like the Spanish premiere because it premiered there before the US. But it's like another slasher movie.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of horror things going on in May it's like an interesting month for horror. Like to be putting horror movies out. I don't know. I
think, like, I was trying to check to see, like, did Friday the 13th come out on a Friday the 13th, and that's why it got released during there?
Whichever one that year, we gotta find it. Is he arguably the coolest looking Jason?
What,
New
Part
Blood?
7?
Yeah.
I mean, you get a lot more of the zombie Jason, if I recall, in that one.
He's deteriorated.
I mean, my favorite Friday the 13th is probably always going to be Part 5 and Part 8, even though I can't argue that they're good. And everybody will probably be like, you're wrong.
Is
and
Part
they'd
5,
probably be right.
Is that Manhattan or no?
No, 8's Manhattan.
8's Manhattan.
Yeah. Where somehow they take a boat and they sail it from Crystal Lake into New York City Harbor.
They never showed you they never showed you the outlet from the lake.
Yeah. So don't know how that works. Jason literally just latches onto the boat and just rides it all the way into New York City and then just goes on a rampage.
And Johnny Cage is that dude.
Part 5 doesn't even have Jason.
Really?
Spoilers.
Oh yeah, that's that weirdo in the mask. That's right.
So yeah, May 1988, weird time for movies.
I mean, that's all the preamble shit I have.
Tim?
It's all the weird preamble stuff I have too.
I saw Spider-Man. By the time this comes out, it will be out. And I'm going to spoil it right now. Spider-Man and Doctor Strange resurrect Tony Stark to help them kill Mary Jane, who's become a supervillain after falling in a vat of electrified porcupines. No, I was at the premiere on Monday, December 13th. My co-hosts have not seen it, so I feel cursed with knowledge. I've been brimming, several people have privately messaged me and be like, they ask me I just need to know this, and I'm like, do you really want to know? And I tell them, it's just because they really want to know, but it helps me release this kind of pent up knowledge that I have. But
the multiverse opens up and all the surviving Tony Starks show up, and then all of them die in front of Peter Parker again.
That's it.
Not all at once, one at a time.
I'm waiting for Marvel to just completely give everyone the finger. They're expecting Toby and Andrew to come back, but instead they bring in Miles Morales from Into the Spider-Verse instead. CG and all. They don't even try to change the way he looks. They just...
Roger Rabbit it there.
Yeah.
And Spider-Pig, the whole gang.
Whole gang. Nicolas Cage.
Just as Nicolas Cage. Yeah. I don't know. I wanted to throw that out there. So I have to tell somebody. I have to tell the world.
Was that the actual Hollywood premiere?
Yeah.
Or was it just so you
red
saw
carpet.
So you saw Tom Holland and
there was a mass amount of fans, I guess, just crowding all that stuff, and we couldn't really see anything. After we left the movie, we were in the Spill Theater. This is the Regency Fox Theater in Westwood, and there's one across the street. There's two. If you saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I believe it's where Margot Robbie goes to watch her movie as Sharon Tate.
Yeah, the Wrecking Crew.
Yeah. This is the theater where that premiere was. A lot of movie premieres go to that theater. We were at the Spill Theater across the street where it was mostly like fans and cosplay. All the celebrities were across the street. The plebeians. We saw Terry Crews just leaving the theater. That was about it.
Did you say Spill Theater or the real theater?
The main one. So that was the only celebrity sighting we had. But it was just cool to see the movie. In any case.
I thought it was great that they had him as Uncle Ben in this. They finally do a flashback and it's just Terry Crews.
Yeah, Terry Crews. No, it's not even a flashback. He comes in and they give him the great responsibility line, which I thought was not appropriate. Like, you can't say that. You just became a stepdad.
And then
like,
Peter literally says, "I love you" on Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and then he leaves.
9-9.
9-9.
So, Willow.
Oh my God! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm. What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure? Stay calm!
So Willow opens up at the castle of our main baddie, Queen Bavmorda. There's a lot of fun names in this. Queen Bavmorda. It's like true like fantasy. Like, I don't know where they pull these names from, but she has taken all the pregnant women in the land prisoner because this prophecy that a newborn baby around this time is going to eventually usurp her and banish her or kill her, just end her reign of terror, essentially.
It's a very King Herod approach.
King Herod?
Yeah.
There's a baby that's gonna usurp me someday. Time to kill all the babies.
I know that name. Why? What is that story?
The Bible. Yeah. That's why. That's why Mary and Joseph left. And they went into hiding.
That old story.
They needed to sleep somewhere, and they went to a bunch of inns, and they all said no.
It was Christmas time. Yes, it is a lot like that. I've read the Bible many times. Just so you know, listener.
That old chestnut.
I went to Catholic school, so that was a primary subject through the years.
My older sisters went to Catholic school, but I never asked my mom, like, why didn't I go? You were just like, just over it? I don't know if it cost money. I don't know.
Yeah, it'd be wasted on you.
I went through the public system, start to finish. And look at me now. Anyway, so yeah, she's all the babies that are born, I guess this baby will have a specific birthmark. So she's waiting to find that baby, and she does. But the midwife that delivers the baby helps the baby escape. She takes it. The mother has a fake baby, hoodwinks old Queen Bavmorda, she's really good. The actress playing her,
yeah,
she plays a evil queen pretty well, true Disney fashion. But she's even more she's more brutal, I guess, just by nature of the of her quest to kill the child.
I mean,
but it's just the one baby. She doesn't kill all the babies, right?
We don't know.
Just the one. It's just the one baby. No luck catching those babies, then.
Just the one, actually.
So the midwife is on the run, and the queen realizes she's been hoodwinked. The baby is gone. She sends these crazy-looking dogs and her daughter after the baby. Her daughter's like a kind of a warrior archer. It's pretty badass. Saoirse.
Which
Saoirse Ronan. No.
When they send out Saoirse, like when they cut to the mountains and forests, first of all, like I forgot how gorgeous all the scenery is in this. 'Cause I think parts were shot in like Wales, parts were shot in I think New Zealand. But it's like all these gorgeous, lush like forests and waterfalls and mountainscapes.
I had trouble.
They play them. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was gonna say when they play the music and then they pop up the title of Willow, but they pop it up so fast that like I looked up to take a note and I just saw like Willow, and then by the time I look back, it's gone, and I'm like, it's just like subliminal, like Willow.
Did you see it? Yeah, I had trouble telling if the scenes were like, were they matte paintings? But like,
I mean, probably
I think
some
they
of
look
them.
so real though. Like that, I mean, my
Yeah.
point was I couldn't tell. I was like, if this is real, if this is not real, it is very well done. It looks gorgeous. Yeah.
And if it is real, I need to go there.
The mountain scenes I felt were like you could see the mountains in the background. I think those were matte paintings. But I think they did go on location for most of it.
Yeah, there's some stuff that's undeniably on location, but there's those montage like traveling scenes. I was like, what of that is fake? It was hard to tell if it was. I spent a lot of time just to get a one like montage shot. Then they pulled it off.
So also kudos to this midwife for on one day just deciding like, okay, I'll help you, and steals the baby away to safety. But then when they cut to the midwife again, clearly time has passed because now it's not like a newborn baby. It's like the baby has a full head of hair. And it's how long has she been taking care of this baby out in the woods?
I was going to make a note of that, but I just think it's like, they're not actually going to get a newborn baby for this. No, mothers usually aren't going to agree to like, yeah, I just had a baby. You can use it. You can use it for 3 weeks.
I was just really impressed that it's like, please help my baby. And then with just the clothes on her back, she takes off into the woods, and it's like 5 months later, she's just surviving out there with this child.
I guess that could be the canon. That's your canon. That's fine.
It's my truth.
Speak your truth.
Did you notice one of the lieutenants, Zorsha and the Queen? He looked exactly like the wizard known as Tim.
By what name are you known?
There are some who call me Tim.
Greetings, Tim the Enchanter.
Did he have the horns on his helmet or something?
The only thing missing, but he had the same kind of look about him, the same wardrobe, and like the same facial hair,
the beard. And, oh wow, yeah. I did not notice that.
The only thing missing was the horns on his head.
Tim, bring me that baby. Those the dogs that they send out. Well, the dogs that like she possesses. They're like wargs.
Like wolf dogs. Yeah,
wolf dogs. They look great because I think they're literally just dogs in costumes, but it works very well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. I mean, like there's not like they don't have like robotic moving faces or anything. I think they're pretty just stationary, but the way they shoot it and for the amount of time they show it, like it looks good. And it's a cool way that they did that.
I apologize now because I'm going to say this a lot, but because of who made the movie, in Star Wars, they did something very similar with the Banthas in the original A New Hope. They took elephants and dressed them up in the same exact kind of costuming style. So it's a real world creature that looks completely alien, or in this case, fantasy, but in reality, you can tell it's a real animal, and it by doing it the way they did really helps pull off the effect, I thought. Yeah,
that's one of the hardest things is animating movement believably, and when you don't have to, it's like this is real movement. It's
like in Resident Evil, these dogs are dead, or these dogs are alive in Resident Evil, but the makeup is not that great, and it just looks like the dog has prosthetics attached to it.
In the Mila Jovovich one,
uh-huh.
I thought there was CGI in that one.
The it's in 1 or 2. I forget which one is which.
It's been a long time.
There is CGI in it, but they do also practical effects, and it doesn't look great.
So the midwife, she's being pursued by the dogs. She comes to a stream, and she realizes she's not going to be able to outrun the pursuers, so she fashions a little crib bed out of moss and grass and mud and whatever. Just throws the baby on it and just sends her down the river.
She is really lucky that found a village.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's like, what are the alternatives? It goes back and then it gets killed anyway. This last ditch effort, and she gets torn up. Like it shows her getting bitten by the dogs and is presumably killed.
She puts the baby in there, pushes it off into the river, and then she grabs a staff or something. I thought she's gonna try to fight these off, and then immediately just they dog pile her and she just goes down. It's like, oh, okay. But it would have been great if she gets knocked down and then she watches in the distance and just see it like go down the falls.
Oh, I thought it was further downstream. Yeah, so the baby is safe for the moment, floating down the river, and it catches on a riverbank in front of two children. They're not hobbits. They are Nelwyns, Nilwyns. I had to turn the subtitles on. I'm like, what is he saying? I don't know what he's, because Willow refers to what their people are called.
It helped a lot in this movie. There's a lot of made up names in this that I definitely would have double taked on how it was said or even spelt.
Yeah, I watched the whole thing with subtitles just so I could write things down quickly. But these, we don't know this yet, but these are Willow's children, Mims and Rhiannon, and they find the baby. They're like, his kids are like the cutest kids. I don't know. They're cute kids.
I agree.
They run back and find Willow, who is farming, and tell him that they found a baby. So Willow goes to the riverbank, and it's the first thought is like, throw that baby back in the river. This is not my problem.
We'll push it downstream and forget we ever saw it. Come on.
I was like, wow, he makes this like immediate knee-jerk decision to just kick the kid downriver and call it a day.
We can't keep it. Put it back.
Papa, we found it. No, we didn't. Now back to my tilling.
That made me laugh out loud. He's just like, I don't think so. Willow goes back. He does bring the, okay, they convince him. So the kids convince him at least to grab the baby from the river.
So he doesn't grab the baby. He ends up going back because he ends up like arguing with the town goon. But
why does he leave? Do they hear him? Oh, he's calling for him, right?
Yeah. So he ends up finding Burgle.
That's right. Yeah, they're arguing what to do with the baby, or he's arguing with his kids. And then the town bastard. Prefect. Oh, he's a prefect. That's it. Prefect is his title, yeah, but he is the town bastard. Burgle Cut. What a name. I refer to him as Poppycock or Bubble Butt throughout the notes. But he's wondering where Willow got these seeds, because Willow runs back to see what he wants, because he's the seed kingpin, apparently.
I sell the planted seeds around here. Now tell me where you got them.
The seed must flow.
Like, there's other ways you can get seeds, And the guy's just like, okay.
Witchcraft. Oh, yeah? Well, how'd you get all these? I picked them up off the ground.
Impossible.
I think while they're arguing, the kids get Willow's wife, their mother, Kaya, and she goes to the river and is like, Willow, like, we're taking this baby. Like, what are you thinking?
Yeah. And like he's like, I will not be ignored. And then all of them just walk away from him and he's like, guys.
Yeah, so she gets attached to the baby quickly. She discovers the birthmark. They don't really think anything of it, but they just make note of it. And this is all happening right before a festival that's going on. Willow and the kids head for this sweet Ren Fair.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, it always seems so fun and lively. Like, this is what I would hope for in, like, a town fair of, like, live music going and people dancing. And it's just, like, the whole village has all these fun little, like, food things and whatnot.
Yeah, it does seem
and a
guy
guy just
fun.
Shreds a loot.
That music, yeah. He's, like, slap bassing the
yeah,
loot.
and then it cuts back to him and he's just, like, power strumming.
Starts
like
playing
two
like
wizards
metal.
in town.
So at this festival, they mention in the kitchen in the scene prior that what's his title? The High Aldwin. I don't know what an Aldwin is, but
I think his name is Aldwin.
It says High Alduin though, so that's how they refer to him.
No, that's
I don't know what
him.
a daikini is either. So
it's a man bikini. It's a daikini.
Hi, Alduin.
The High Alduin is supposedly choosing, I guess maybe every year, he's going to choose a magic apprentice.
I wrote down he's
here,
Radagast the Brown.
Yeah, he could double for Radagast, I think.
When he's sitting on the throne as he's getting carried in when you first see him.
Yeah, the litter.
He looks different in close-ups, but at that first shot, not knowing who he was, like, is that fucking Radagast?
Yeah, so it's here we see that Willow himself is a magician, at least in a David Copperfield sense. He's putting on a magic show for the town. I feel like that first trick he does is probably pretty easy to figure out. He puts like the can on his arm so you can't see his arm, and then like shoves the stick through it. But there's a whole, I mean, he could have just moved his arm to the side and like that's how the stick got through there. But you know, simple folk are entertained.
Real salt of the earth. You know,
I mean, his disappearing pig trick was impressive at first. Like, it was just, he couldn't contain the pig.
I think it would have went well if he just played it off rather than like getting panicked.
My spell. It's
yeah,
broken.
like comedy magic.
Yeah, just like leans on the crate and's like, it's a living.
I thought it was part of the whole show too, until I realized that it wasn't supposed to escape.
I think he would have been fine as long as Burglecut wasn't front and center there, because as soon as it happened, he's like, oh, he's a fraud. It's like, oh, you thought he was really magic? Burglecut, like you just asked him how he got those seeds.
He's like the stupid hecklers from the Muppets. Every single time he tried to do something fun, here comes Burglecut.
Statler and Waldorf.
Scuttlebutt.
Scuttlebutt.
He's mainly on...
I loved it.
He's mainly on Willow's ass the whole time. Like, he doesn't really give anybody else as much shit as him. So the High Alduin, makes his entrance on the... Is it called a litter? Or what's the thing called? Like the bed that the four guys carry. The person just sits on it. I don't know why the word litter is coming to my head, but...
I don't know what the actual name for that
litter is more like just the collection of your
like a
posse.
mobile throne?
Yeah. Whatever that's called. This is Dean just chiming in to say, I was right. It's called a litter. Back to the show. Alduin comes in and asks for this year's hopefuls to come up and take the test to see who's going to be the apprentice, which is just, he holds his hand out and is like, which finger has the power to control the world? And Willow has an unfair advantage because he goes last. So the guy chooses...
Because he doesn't reset in between.
The guy chooses a pointer, the guy chooses the middle finger, and Willow chooses something, I don't know, the pinky, or the ring finger. And he's like...
No apprentice this year!
I would have picked the thumb. That would have been me.
We all would have been wrong.
I would have done it with confidence, though.
Willow just throws finger guns out.
He just cuts his finger off, like, I have the power. I'm the Alduin now. Willow blows it, but before long, look at me. I have the finger now. Willow blows it. And the doggy creatures attack. Well, just one of them. One of the dog creatures, boom, surprise, rushes in and immediately starts tearing up cribs. Like he knows where babies are. He goes to attack a crib, and the town warriors... what's his name? Vankar?
Oh, Vankar.
Vankar. Yeah. Vankar and his...
his
Cox.
Like town guard.
What's Cox? Cox.
Tony Cox.
Tony Cox. They come in with their spears and stab it to death.
Yeah, they actually are a pretty good unit.
Yeah.
Like, it comes through, it damages a couple things, and then they just kind of like get on it, circle it, and kill it.
Yeah, they take it down. I want to see like how many warriors? I want to see do they battle other Nelwyns in the land? I want to see their fights.
Nelwyn Fight Club.
I want to see a massive Nelwyn battle someday. Which maybe in the new Willow show.
I also I have a side note here from seeing Billy Barty as High Aldwin. I want to see a magic team up movie of the High Aldwin, Egg Shen from Big Trouble Little China and Dr. Vink from Are You Afraid of the Dark?
I don't remember Dr. Vink.
I remember the big hair, big beard.
Is that a specific episode?
He was in
I'd assume so.
A couple of them.
I don't remember.
He was a recurring character.
A lot of how Are You Afraid of the Dark is still in my childhood. There's no outlet to watch it.
Tim just has a great memory. So the dog is attacking. It's kind of like pandemonium. Everybody's panicking, except for the warriors. But his daughter Mims is really crying, and I'm like, what did they do to? Because she seems pretty young, but I don't know how old she really is. But she's terrified, crying. I'm like, what did they do to get her to do that?
I think between takes, George told her about a fourth Indiana Jones movie he was planning.
You get to see what Indiana Jones was like as a little kid.
Don't ruin your legacy.
Willow scoops her up while they stab the dog to death. And Vankar is like,
He was looking for somebody's baby.
It's like a sophisticated dog. Everybody hide your baby. So that freaks Willow out. He runs home to check on the baby who's with the wife, and it's all quiet. It's all safe and sound.
I like how in the beginning, too, he's like, we're not going to give up the baby because all we know is I'm going to bring it in and then everyone's going to blame me because, all this bad luck. It's like I'm going to be the cause for the omen. And then the second all that shit happens, he rushes back home, sees everything's okay. And he's like, yeah, we're getting rid of this thing now.
Which also he's not wrong. It's pretty much like Willow.
But I had a laugh out loud moment because after he collects the child again, this whole town has a town meeting to discuss the events. He walks in, and just as he's walking in, the whole town is screaming basically to.
Who's to blame for this? We must find the culprit and throw him in the pit.
And he walks in, hears that, and he pretty much just turns
notes out immediately.
I immediately thought of The Simpsons when Grandpa walks into the bar and then does the 180, grabs his hat, and walks
the
back
strip
out.
club. Yeah,
it's like we must find the culprit and throw him in the pit. In the pit. Nope.
So that's the next scene after this, and what makes him turn around? They just see him leaving, and they're like.
Yeah, fucking.
Or he just gets the musters the courage for.
Unkar Plot sees him and.
Yeah.
Hey.
So High Aldwin sees the baby and it's it's a Daikini child. Daikinis are just, we find out, are the regular human people of this world. We didn't mention this, but all of the Elwins are played by little people. It's not like Frodo and Sam where they're.
Not in camera and perspective.
Yeah, there's no trickery. Yeah. These are Warwick Davis, as everybody knows, is a little person. So it's a whole town. That's just for some perspective. So they know right away that it's not one of their children. That's when they first find it, and the Alduin's like, yeah, this is a Daikini child. Poppycock. Scuttle, what's his name? Bubblebutt. He nominates Willow, the town bastard. He's trying to put it all on Willow to return this child, go and find the first Daikini person and just give the baby back, and so we can get rid of this problem because they're obviously looking for it. Don't want to have the town be attacked anymore.
I like how Aldwin, after Burglecut throws him under the bus and is like, yep, it should be his job. He should be the one that goes out. Aldwin's like, we have to consult the bones, and then rolls the bones.
Yeah.
But then he leans in close to Willow and is like, the bones say nothing. And then pretty much just asks him hey, would you be willing to do this? And it's like, okay, the bones tell me Willow's going.
Yeah, I have that noted too.
Which he's shown multiple times that it's like, no, Aldwin knows magic. So I feel like this wasn't like, oh, the bones tell me nothing. It was, he doesn't want to do anything without Willow having input on it, which I like. That was nice.
Leading up to that moment, though, I didn't know if he knew magic or if magic existed in this world. Because he kept saying all this magical stuff, but nothing magic has happened yet at that point in time. Because, yeah, he did the disappearing pig trick, but it wasn't like the pig vanished to the other side of the room. It could have been a really clever sleight of hand and just snuck the pig under the table.
Yeah.
So when he throws the apple into the air and the bird shows up, I'm like, oh, the guy actually does know magic. Okay.
I think Aldwin's full of shit, personally, but
yeah.
He's like, the bones tell me nothing. Finger. Like, Willow, what do you think? He's like, oh, the bones have spoken. Hold on. Also,
if he
Willow
knows magic. Why didn't he help against the wolf dog?
Yeah, he could have turned it into a pile of goo.
I'm on break.
Oh, my wand broke. Oh, sorry. The dog ate my wand.
I need a long rest. I'm sorry.
Willow changed his tune quickly, though, like from throw the baby into the river to like, yes, I have love for this child. When Aldwin asks him point blank. And then we form the Fellowship of the Ring.
So be it. You shall be the Fellowship of the Baby!
I will take it. I will take this child to the humans.
I don't know who Town Bastard plays in the Fellowship. He's a new character.
He would be what's his name? Boromir,
I guess.
Boromir. Sean Bean.
He's the most skeptical. Yeah, he's the most skeptical.
Yeah.
But
I'm picturing Burglecut just like taking down guys in a field before they fire 12 arrows into him. I'll never find those seeds now, Willow.
Migosh speaks up, a random townsperson who I think we've kind of seen shots of during the scene, but we don't really know their history together, but just assume they're friends.
I think earlier in the movie, Willow and Migosh like chat for a bit.
Do they?
Or he like says something, because I know there was some indication that they were friends, and then that's when he volunteers here.
So, yeah, Migosh is part of the Fellowship. Vonkar, the head of their little militia there, and his couple warriors, they all set out. Well, they're the ones who are going to set out.
I was going to say, because Vonkar volunteers, and then Burglecut's like,
no, not Vonkar. He's the best warrior in the village. We need him here. Vonkar, step back.
And then they're like, and the last person is Burglecut. And he's like, oh, you're coming with me.
I wrote in my notes at this point, I can't wait for him to get his comeuppance.
He never really does.
I think he took the,
he doesn't die,
Biff.
but
yeah, he took the Biff route and
he just gets
getting
slaughtered.
what's his.
That's a good way to put it, Biff. Yeah. So they form this fellowship. Aldwin pulls Willow aside and says he's got some magic acorns, and if he plants them, they'll grow into a beanstalk. No, but it sounds creepy when you say it. I've got these magic acorns.
Well, I was just like, cut this part out, but all I can think of is I've got these magic nuts.
What?
Do
you here in my hand. It's kind of like Splinter coming, like...
Where's Splinter?
He's been up on the roof ever since he saw your report.
Really? Doing what?
Coming to a decision.
Willow, grab my nuts, huh? Right here in my hand. Oh.
They'll turn you into stone. Sure they will.
Which
I get
ones?
you rock hard.
These?
I heard you've been having some trouble with Kyra.
Grind it into a powder and sniff it.
If you bake it in the oven, you can cut it. Yeah, so he gives Willow these acorns, which if he claims, if thrown at somebody, it will turn them into stone. So that's just a plant for later when he actually uses them.
Because when they're chatting, Aldwin also talks about the wizard test that he did before, and Willow tells him, like, my original instinct was to not choose any of your fingers and to choose mine. And he's like,
oh, yeah, that's right.
You would have been right. Here's these acorns. So long.
Yeah, so that just plants the idea that, oh, Willow does have what it takes to not just do illusions and David Blaine magic. I could do real magic.
I'll make this
Gandalf
pig
magic.
disappear, and then I'll remain in this crate for 14 days without air.
Willow, how is this magic? He has his goodbye moment with his wife, who cuts off her hair, puts it in a braid, which I guess is sweet, but it's also kind of weird at the same time, like just walking around with hair. But I guess it's just,
I thought it was sweet.
Yeah.
It's a different time period, so it's a very
that's
romantic,
what I was going to say. Yes.
Chivalrous kind of like old mentality of
yes. To
better
me,
than a
today
handkerchief
it's
kind of
weird,
thing.
but I'm like, I forgive it because it's just, that's, what else are they going to do?
And it's adorable, his children being like, we'll come with you, we'll carry your spare. And I think this is when they set it up that they're like, they're naming all the creatures he can come across, and they're like, what about trolls?
Trolls that'll skin you alive and take your face off?
Random.
Willow's like, oh, I hate trolls.
You know I hate trolls.
I forgot what the trolls look like. We'll get to those later on, but when they appeared, I was like, oh shit, is this Land of the Lost?
I saw Chewbacca with bad
with acne,
with a different mask,
a leopard. High Aldwin pulls out a rock and throws it up in the air, and he's like, follow the bird. This is also why I thought Aldwin was bullshit, because
Tuatha, Lokothrock, Tuatha. Go in the direction the bird is flying.
It's going back to the village.
Ignore the bird. Follow the river.
We can head home.
It had like Monty Python vibes every now and then.
That part did really, for sure.
And it just really didn't fit the rest of the tone of the movie, but it was a welcome surprise.
Yeah,
because that
funny.
was a very loud, laugh out loud moment for me because it's just not expected.
Ignore the bird, follow the river.
So I wanted to say at this point that Willow is better than Frodo, just for the fact that Sam and Frodo, all they had to give up when they went on the adventure was, oh man, we have to give up this single lifestyle here of not doing anything. Willow, he provides for his family. He has to leave like his wife and kids. It's like he has stuff to lose going on this thing.
But that doesn't mean he's better.
Yeah, he's better.
Frodo would have given that shit up too.
Willow Offgood is better than Samwise and Frodo.
Well, Frodo also had like 25 years to sit on the ring before Gandalf came back.
In the book, yeah.
Yeah. Because amazingly enough, it's a long-ass time passes between Gandalf handing him the ring and the envelope to him coming back like, is it secret? Is it safe? It's
yeah,
like
when
20,
he goes to
30
find
years.
Gollum and all that stuff, yeah.
Yep.
Wait, so it's not like, here's the ring and then they take off on the adventure in the book? It's just like, here's the ring, I'll be back.
Yeah.
And then just leaves him for...
Yep.
He has to go... Yeah, he has to do a bunch of research and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it's like there's no buses. He has to ride a horse.
I mean, I would say rent property in town. Like, why?
Anyway, the journey begins. And here's and we get a little montage here of some of these nice little landscape shots. Really nice lighting. I think it's because it's so nice it looks like a painting. That's why I'm like, wait, is there a matte in there? But there's like real waterfalls and it looks great.
Yeah, there's enough real stuff in there that even if they are using mattes, they blend well enough that you can't really tell the difference.
Right.
And I feel this was the peak of using matte paintings for backgrounds in movies.
Yeah.
This was just before CGI really started to take over in that department, and I feel this one really nailed it. Some of the special effects I thought still held up.
Yeah, for sure.
at least on the Disney Plus version of the movie. And then others,
okay.
Well, others obviously didn't age too well, but the matte paintings especially were one of the prime showcases where a lot of it just looked gorgeous. It had that fantasy kind of surreal feel to it. It reminded me of like the Lord of the Rings montage when the Fellowship leaves Rivendell, and just seeing the grandiose environment that they're traveling through was always a really cool thing to see.
Bum, bum, ba, ba, bum. There's a little quick moment here where Willow stops them because the baby is crying and he senses that she's not feeling well. It's just like a quick scene. Burglekut's giving him shit for stopping, but Willow, he picks up the baby and she vomits in his face. Like projectile just splats in his face. That's his first like little come up and said he gets.
Literally.
Come up out of my belly. And then we cut back to the Queen's castle. Queen Bavmorda, her General Kale with the Shao Kahn mask, skull face, is returning, and he said he's destroyed a castle, which we'll hear more about later, but she is like, great, my freaking idiot daughter needs help finding this baby. She doesn't say idiot. She doesn't really denounce her daughter. She's just, can you please help my daughter
she
find
talks
this baby?
her up.
Yeah, she does.
Because her advisor is like, dear Queen, someday your daughter will betray you. And she's like, shut up.
Which
she's an angel. Don't say a word.
I guess it's like, oh, it's because her daughter, she doesn't believe him. But at the same time, she's like, oh, this prophecy. I have to find this baby and kill it. Like, wait, could we not believe in this other little thing he's telling you? At least keep an eye on her. But yeah, you're right. She's like, my daughter wouldn't do that.
Not my
surprised Pikachu face later on.
I just want one scene of that one advisor being like,
so that's a quick scene just so we see that General Kale is on the hunt.
Well, originally when she was denying help, being like, I don't need him, I can do this on my own, and they kept talking about how it's been so long and she hasn't found the baby, I thought, because I hadn't seen this since I was a kid, I thought she was asking to not get help because she's purposely failing at finding the baby this whole time. But then it's like, oh wait, no, she's completely on board with all this. She hasn't switched sides. It's just she wants to do it on her own.
Yeah. I don't need no man. And she doesn't. We find that later on. But
it's actually the name of this chapter on the DVD.
So we cut back to the Fellowship and pretty much showing the riders and some dogs catching up with them. They hide in the bushes, a la hiding from ring wraiths.
I mean, shot for shot, Willow's a better Fellowship of the Ring.
I think Jackson stole from Willow, especially these panorama shots.
Honestly, like Lord of the Rings was an established IP well before Willow and Lord of the Rings, the movies, obviously. You know, there's a huge foundation the movies were built off of, but dude, there are a lot of similarities to Lord of the Rings that were a little too uncanny.
Which I feel like makes sense in terms of if Peter Jackson grew up liking like Lord of the Rings or something, he would probably have seen Willow. But it's a case of like he enjoyed it and that's his way of doing like homage of certain things like that, or maybe it just like bleeds into the subconscious. Also, parts of it were shot in New Zealand, so I wonder if that was like, because
not surprised.
He's from New Zealand.
It's beautiful,
right?
Yeah, Val Kilmer. Yeah,
Val Kilmer.
Yeah, he said, you know, when you read a book, you take your current surroundings and apply them to the location and settings. And when he grew up reading Lord of the Rings, he would look around and he would see New Zealand as Middle Earth. And then when it came time to actually directing it, he felt there was no better place because he fucking lived there. And it translated perfectly into film.
He was goddamn right.
Which they must have thought the same thing with Willow, seeing as they shot some of it there.
Yeah, it's beautiful. See, they hide in the bushes and dodge the riders. There's not much danger there. They just they speed off. And yeah, we got some more of those beautiful shots. And then they arrive at what is known as the crossroads. They say that out loud.
They sell their soul for a guitar.
Seems like the edge of their... Wait, what?
You know the Tale of the Crossroads?
No.
I forgot what artist supposedly, like, the whole tale of you go to the crossroads, you make a deal with the devil that he sold his soul for, like, becoming really good at the guitar.
Gotcha.
Like, blues guitars.
Is this where the devil went down to Georgia comes from? Based on?
No.
Okay.
Yes. Anyway, the crossroads.
Tale. The crossroads seems to be like it's the edge of their known lands, or where they, it's literally the crossroads where the Dakinis, those pesky men live.
And it's also literally where their roads cross.
There's a road crossing.
Yeah.
And there's a jail, or I don't know what you would call it, just a freaking cage there. Kind of like where you'd go and like crucify or just stake somebody to the ground as a warning or punishment or something. There's a couple cages just kind of hanging there, and they don't notice that a man is inside of one of them.
A couple cages, Nick and Johnny.
A guy grabs Willow. We don't know him yet. His name is Mad Mardigan, played by Val Kilmer. But Willow backs up to this cage and he starts to strangle him.
Give me some water, Peck, or you die. Do you understand? Water. Yeah.
Pretty much a dickhead to them, calling them. I almost said should have called this movie Peck. That's like the subtitle. Willow : Peck.
Like I thought it was just like something he was doing, and then literally everybody in the movie. So I'm assuming just Peck is like just like a derogatory term in their universe.
Yeah, right. I didn't Google it, but I'm like, that's the movie just made that up, so I think it's okay to say. I think. Oh, Google it. Start to Google. Like that, because that would be extreme to use a word if it was really that offensive. Like, I think they just made that offensive to the race of small people in the movie.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say Peck.
Peck, 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 peck.
So, according to the Willow Wiki, Peck was a derogatory slang term used by Dakinis to refer to the Nelwyn, because Peck originally referred to a small unit of volume. That's how I took it. A peck of seeds. Anyway. So yeah, that's the derogatory name that Mad Mardigan and everybody seems to use for the Nelwyn, Willow's people. I wonder if the Nelwyn had any for the Dakinis.
Yeah, what's the opposite? I want to hear that one. So yeah, Mad Mardigan grabs Willow, demands water, just being an overall asshole. And Burglekutt's like, hey, here's a Dakini. He's in a cage, but hey, we found one. Like, let's give him the baby and let's go home.
I like how the baby is like instantly amused by Mad Mardigan, and that's when Burglekutt's just like, here you go. You want a baby?
Willow's like challenging Burglekutt, like, this is bullshit. Like, he's locked up. We're not giving the baby to a criminal.
You should have used one of his acorns right there.
Yeah, threw it at Burglekutt.
We're far outside of town here, Burglekutt. He just turns him to stone.
Nobody say nothing, or you want to become stone too.
I got one more nut.
Make you disappear under this table like that pig. In Bubble Butt's eyes, like, they're done. Like, they found somebody. I'm like, Willow, we're going home. Like, take the baby. You can either do this or not, but our hands are clean. And I guess he's the prefect, and they can't argue with him. So
I remember this group staying together much longer when I saw it as a child.
Yeah.
Like, I thought it was like, oh yeah, like a fair amount of the movie is them like getting through things and whatnot. It's like, no, they get to the crossroads and
That's it.
Dip.
They come to a crossroads.
We don't see them until the like medal ceremony.
Yeah,
so in some of my research behind the movie, I literally finished this with maybe 20 minutes to spare before recording, so I couldn't really Google too much. And forgive my silence, but some of my own questions I'm looking up as we're discussing because I don't want to bring up talking points if I have no ground to stand on.
I do that too.
Oh, you found the slur for dakinis?
Number 3 will shock you.
Top 10 daikini slurs.
One of the things brought up is how some people compare this to like a condensed version of The Hobbit or Lord of the Rings. So it would make sense that they would depart and break up the Fellowship so quickly, considering that this is just one movie instead of spanned across 3.
True.
If it was any longer, then they probably
So essentially
would've.
this would be as if like they're getting to the end of the first.
Because I thought it was kind of bullshit too. Like, yeah, I know you want to dump this and kind of move on, but the dude's literally in a cage and you have no intention of breaking him free. Why? What? You're literally putting the baby to a death sentence by just doing it that way.
Here, do me a quick favor. Can you watch this baby die while it also watches you die? Thank you.
It's like a race.
Oh, and don't eat the baby to keep yourself to keep living.
From that cage where you are.
Well, we'll put him in your hands, so it depends on how long you can hold the baby. Sticking your hands through the cage. Yeah, this is like the Fellowship if Aragorn, Gimli, and Legolas just like, I'm going home.
I mean, the ring's kind of close to that mountain. That's fine. We'll meet you back at town.
We didn't get paid enough to keep
We
going.
got you through the mines of Moria. We're going to head out.
They would have left after the first inconvenience. When the fucking ravens would have shown up, that's when it would have been like, all right, that's it, I'm done.
Just imagine if Aragorn, at the end of the Prancing Pony, just looks over and sees the ring wraith stabbing at the... It's like, well, I'm not dealing with this anymore.
They're coming, quick, hide off the road. Not me. No, I'm good. Just keeps walking.
Yeah, so they break up the Fellowship, and just Migash and Willow are left with the baby, and Madmartigan's pleas for them to let him out of his cage. I love that Willow takes out one of his magic stones, and like, Scott, turn you into stone.
Ooh, I'm really scared. No, don't! Don't! There's a peck here with an acorn pointed at me!
It was just a good sarcastic line. It's the sun's going down, so they camp there for the night next to Madmartigan. I don't know if anything really happens at that point. What happens at night? I mean, just cuts to the next day pretty quick.
Yeah, because that's when Willow finally kind of caves and decides to give him a cup of water before he hands it to him. He hears the army coming and he sees, and he just like scrambles to get away and like drops the cup in front of him. He's like licking his fingers trying to get any water he can.
Yeah, those riders come by. Like, Will nearly gets clipped, those lone riders, and they just don't even pay him any attention. Madmartigan does the whole, like... the next day, he's, like, trying the nice guy routine. Like, hey, what's your name? Where are you from?
Morning, boys. Rough night last night, wasn't it? I don't think I introduced myself yesterday. My name is Madmartigan. And you are,
No, Migas. Don't go near him. He's dangerous.
That army comes through. Madmartigan recognizes somebody that Willow's trying to plead with to take the baby. His name's Eric. I thought his name was Eric, but it's A-I-R-K, Eric.
Yeah, it's like Eric.
Eric.
Yeah, Willow was like, oh, please, like, take the baby. We need to get it to a Daikani. He's like,
going into battle, little ones. Find a woman to take care of her.
You thought you were a woman, Eric?
And it's like, and then they have like a "you son of a bitch" moment, like
if Arnold was in a cage. They clap hands, and then he's like, "Okay, well, see ya."
Yeah, it's funny. It's like, oh, Eric recognizes Madmartigan. They have a little, ribbing moment.
Madmartigan! What'd you do this time?
Nothing you wouldn't have done in my place.
I always knew you'd end up in a crow's cage.
Well, at least I'm not down there herding sheep.
Yeah, like their reaction to each other, I thought it was more like a friendly rivalry of, oh, you're crazy. It's nice to see you again. And then it's like, get me free. He's like, oh, no, you can rot in that cage.
He's like, I serve the king, like you serve no one. You can rot in your coffin. It was like, whoa, that was curt.
Did they ever go over why he was in the cage?
No.
I wish they did.
Because Eric later says, like, you're a thief.
Yeah, he might have been caught thieving.
But it's like, when he shows us how good he is with a sword, it's like, how can you not find some way to make money that doesn't involve you being a thief, if that's the case? Like, enter a competition, something.
Well, I guess we do find out, yeah, he's just like he's like a grifter swindler, I guess.
He's very Han Solo.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. So the army leaves, and pretty much leaves Willow with no choice but to let Mad Mardigan out and give them some help. Especially after he gives them these like fake sappy speeches about how much he wants to take care of the baby. It's like, I know some women that can take care of the baby.
Like, he immediately proceeds to show he's the most questionable guardian. He's like, oh, thank you. And he like takes the baby and throws it straight up in the air.
I love how as soon as he gets out, he does a somersault on the ground and like picks up Migosh and is like tossing him around.
I love this era of Val Kilmer.
Yes.
Like, I'm surprised we didn't get more movies of him having like a fantasy adventure, like an adventure role, because I know he had a couple things, but for the most part, it's like I feel like we missed out an entire string of movies that would have made use of this era Val Kilmer. I don't know if it's just because he's historically was difficult to work with during the time, or if he just wanted to try other things.
A little of both, maybe. I actually got this movie and the one with Tom Cruise mixed up. I wasn't sure who was in
Legend?
Which.
Ooh, that might be on my list this year.
More fantasy.
After watching this, I remembered how much I liked it, and I'm like, now it's just going to be like a fantasy kick. If you guys end up seeing like medieval fantasy of like, was it Legend, Lady Hawk, and Army of Darkness this year, you have Willow to blame.
I'm down for it. Although Tim Curry scared the shit out of me as a kid in Legend. Like, holy shit, is he scary looking?
Oh, yeah. Amazing makeup on him.
Yes, it is. I was like, I couldn't believe. I think
like he was amazing as Pennywise, but that's what I think of first sometimes in terms of like good Tim Curry makeup.
I kind of want to hear his voice in Legend, like unprocessed, just hear him talking. As that
I want them to swap the voice of him as the butler in Clue with him as the Lord of Darkness in Legend. And what is it you do? I'm the butler. I bottle.
So Mad Mardigan is free, and they I guess they think their journey is done, even though Willow seems pretty uneasy about the whole thing. Mad Mardigan does seem somewhat sincere, and it's not like he just runs away. He does take the baby. He could have just like ran away, I guess. I don't know what nefarious things he could sell the baby. I don't know, but
he has that that lovable scoundrel aspect.
Yes, yeah.
Because even as the viewer, I knew the guy was a scoundrel, but he was basically a medieval version of Han. Because, yeah, you know, he's kind of a grifter, but you can tell that he wasn't malicious in any way, and he was going to look out for the baby, just, you know, on his own terms.
Like, he was probably intending to get to a town that has somebody that could take care of the baby and then just pawn them off and leave.
Right.
Yeah.
But not, like, chuck the baby over his shoulder as he's running into the distance. Thanks, Peck. Bye!
Punt.
Puts it in another boat, sends it downstream again.
Kick the baby.
It worked the first time. Don't kick the baby.
Kick the baby.
Yeah, I mean, he gets out and doesn't start attacking them. He like has a bit of fun. You could tell he was just saying anything he could to get out of the cage, which who wouldn't at that point. So Willow makes a promise he's gonna take care of the baby, and they part ways. And just 2 minutes later, Migosh they're excited to go home. They're like, oh, we'll be heroes. They're going to sing songs about us. And just at that moment, the baby comes flying back overhead, carried by a hawk that is piloted by a tiny man, which we realize is called a brownie. They're brownies, these little 4-inch tall people. They're like Gulliver's Travels people. What are those? What were they called? I don't know.
Lilliputians from the village of Lilliput?
Yes. Exactly like that. It's just funny to see the baby's just being carried by a hawk, and you can hear the little guy.
Yeah! I stole the baby! I stole the baby! Yeah!
So, I had forgotten about the brownies until I rewatched this movie.
Really?
And as soon as they showed up, I was like, oh, that's right. I hate the brownies.
Really? This was the moment in the movie where I wasn't sure if I was liking it yet or not. I was enjoying it quite a bit. And this is the moment that sold it for me. Like, this is, where was this all my life? I'm amazed it's always been on the outskirts of it.
This was the part for me that I was like, oh my God, like, this is where we end up having to add these two chuckleheads to the party for the rest of the film.
It's Merry and Pippin.
I didn't like Merry and Pippin.
You don't like the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
I think the brownies are hit and miss. I'm in the middle ground between you guys. Some of the lines had me. Their interaction with Madame Mardigan, I think, is the best stuff that they do.
The village of brownies, I didn't care so much about. I could take them or leave them. But when they were just the two of them, it's just the chemistry that the two of them had together. What were their names? It was Rankjean and Rule.
Rule and
Franjean.
Franjean, yeah.
Yeah, Kevin Pollak and
Deep Roy.
Victor.
It looked like
the
Deep
other guys.
Roy. Was it?
No, it's not.
No. Kevin Pollak is pretty recognizable. You'd know who he was, Nick, if you saw
Rick Overton.
Yeah, Rick Overton. Rick Orton. Overton. So, yeah, Rick Orton's Franjean character is flying this hawk that is carrying the baby they just left with Madame Mardigan, like, not moments ago, it seems. I mean, it's probably flash forward, 20 minutes or something. And so they chase after it, and all these other brownies come out of the woodwork, literal woods, and start firing their tiny arrows at them. They're getting lit the fuck up by these.
I did laugh when they're getting shot with the arrows, and it's not like, oh, it's just like,
yeah, son of a bitch, like bee stings. In true Gulliver fashion, they corral them into like a pit. They're like, what are we gonna do? Like, just run away. They're tiny people. But then they trap them in a hole covered by
then they
leaves.
all combine like Voltron. It's like the Clive Barker story was like in the hills, their cities or whatever it is. All the people like lash themselves together as a giant creature.
They turn into a big sword and just chop their heads off. They tie them up on the ground, and they see there's a strange light in the sky that seemed to be commanding the brownies, and it descends down to where Migosh and Willow are tied up and starts to speak to them, and it turns into a Galadriel woman, a lady,
but on Endor.
All that glitters is gold. On Endor, those trees. Her name I have written down. Where is it? I wrote it down like 50 times. Names are hard to remember in here.
Shalandria.
Cher, the elf woman. No, we don't. She's not an elf. She's just kind of like a powerful being that doesn't really have an explanation.
Yeah, I saw it as just kind of like a nature spirit of some sort.
She comes down and gives a very Galadriel like presence and like ends up giving a mission to them. But her effects were pretty cool. She looked pretty good coming down from the sky and being like a transparent spirit wood woman. But she's all in white. So she gives a lot of authority just because of her presentation. But she's very nice and pleasant. She apparently can communicate with the baby, and the baby has told her name is Elora Danan. And she's essentially the prophecies that she'll become queen one day and kick Bev Mora out of her throne and reign of terror. She, tells them that the baby is very fond of Willow, thinks he would be a good guardian for her. They now have this kind of new mission, which is to get her to a castle called Tir Asleen, which, it's another fantasy name.
Subtitles on, very useful.
TIR you kind of need him through this movie.
Well, yeah, you really do. She gives him this quest and gives him his first really kind of... First, he needs to find out this sorceress named Razel and gives her the wand that Razel needs to wield.
Which it's interesting that it's not a case of you're the one who needs to do this, Willow, like you're the one who needs to go like fight the woman. It's no, there's another wizard who is the one who actually needs to go fight her. Your job is to keep the baby alive and bring this wand to the person who will do this. It's interesting seeing the hero of the story not be like, you're the prophesized one to do all this. It's, no, your job is to be the courier to bring this to the actual hero who will take care of this.
We like you, Willow, but...
It's just nice for a change to see that rather than like, they'll show like a cave wall and it'll be like, it was always you, Willow. You're the one to do this. It's like, no, you're the main character of your story. You're not the main character of this world's story. But then he turns out to like really step up.
It is different.
Give them some slack. It's not like this is the first time George Lucas ever made a story about a farm boy, rising up on a hero's call for adventure and being the one to save the day. Being guided by a mysterious sorcerer and coming
people,
close friends with a scoundrel type, all the while escorting a princess.
Jesus Christ.
Until you say it that way.
At least Willow's family didn't get burnt to a crisp. That would have been really brutal.
Bev Mora tells the General Shao Kahn, like, no disintegrations.
That's a great point, Nick.
Migosh, go back and tell my mother or my wife I love her. The whole place is burnt to the ground.
Shalandria says, she can, obviously Elora is more conscious than they realize. So she says she saw you pick your nose. Don't do that. What else did you see, Elora? We have to silence this baby. She knows too much.
The ritual must be completed.
So Willow's supposed to go to Tir Asleen, where there will be a new good king and queen that will take care of this prophesized baby and raise her up.
Which, if there is, we never see them.
Never see them. We can assume who they might be, but they really don't hint at that at all. It's kind of
like I was expecting after the final battle for them to like come out of the woodwork and be like, yes, we really did it here. Thank you.
In 1995, Lucas made a sequel book to the movie.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Shit,
and it continues the story.
Damn it.
I didn't look at all into it, but it does mention that. Because with the show that's being made, I don't know if it's going to take that book into account.
That's a good... Yeah, I had that thought when you said that. I wonder if it'll base anything on that book.
Yeah, I know
have to read
about
that.
It, but... Yeah, it's
interesting.
Story by George and some other guy.
And then evidently, so like I'm reading this as well now, like Lucas set up the storyline or like did the beats for a trilogy called The Chronicles of the Shadow War. And then Chris Claremont, who did X-Men during like the 80s and whatnot, the big Claremont run, he ended up adapting them into a trilogy of books that evidently take place after this movie and features Alora as a teenager as the main character.
Yeah, he intended to make a trilogy of movies, but Willow did not do well.
I think all like it's box office wise, it didn't do bad, but I think everybody's expecting it to be like, this is going to be our next E.T. or this is going to be like our next whatever. So when it doesn't hit that, they're like, we missed the mark, it failed. It's like, well, not really. It just, if you were expecting this to be like $150 million and it comes out at like 75.
So the morning after they get their new mission, Willow throws a curveball. He goes to Migosh and it's like, it's time to go home. And like, I don't know what Migosh assumes. Like, he's like, oh yeah, let's go home because he just got this mission. But Willow's like, tell my wife and kids that I love them and miss them. And he's like, oh shit, you're going to do this by yourself. And this is why I wrote, like, Migosh is no Samwise Gamgee here. He's just like, well, good luck. Some friend.
Well, Sam went along because he was ordered to. And Sam is just very superstitious that he's going to be turned into like a frog or something if he disobeyed Gandalf's orders.
Yeah, but there was heart behind his words too.
I can't carry the baby, but I can carry your things back to town. See you later.
I'll kiss your wife on the cheek for you. Me, gosh.
Like Catch with Your Kids, get you around.
It's our new daddy.
Me, gosh, when you get back, do me a favor, tell my wife I love her, and kill Burgleclaw.
Take these acorns.
Willow says like the command words.
What'd you say?
He says the command words and like activates Migosh. September, autumn, citrus.
Migosh, why are you looking at me like that? So Willow sets off, and little brownies Rule and Frangine, who was flying the hawk, are supposed to guide him to the mysterious island at a at a lake to find Raziel. On the way there, it starts to storm, so they take shelter at the Inn of the Prancing Pony.
Because the brownies continually get them lost.
Does the brownie get them lost?
Yeah, they're like, we know what way we're going. It's this way.
Right.
And he's like, I thought it was that way.
Well, he's drunk later on. Did they do that again? I don't know.
They do it like 3 times throughout the movie. And like, so I know I've said it before. Every movie doesn't need comedy relief. And I'm fine with ones that do, because it's fun to have a comedic character. But I wanted them at some point, like Merry and Pippin. They're comedy relief, but when it comes down to it, they are useful and they do try. I feel like the brownies, even when we get into other scenes where like there's danger and whatnot, they're still like joking and fighting with each other. And it's like, no, man, like people are dying out here. Like pull it together.
Yeah, they are pretty much just bumbling the whole time, even if they pull off 1 or 2 tricks. So yeah, I guess they're led astray. It's pouring, so they take shelter in this really rough tavern. A lot of rowdy locals.
There's like people on each other's backs, like
yeah, there's like chicken fighting,
and,
like you do in a pool, but they're just on the bar floor. This is where we realize that it's not just Mad Mardigan that uses the peck slur. It's like this is how Daikini just looked down upon his people.
Could you spare some milk for this poor hungry baby?
Get out of here, peck! Get out of here, I cook you!
I mean, like, humans are the worst in this movie.
Yeah.
Like,
they're usually the worst in everything, though, aren't they?
True.
That's what Tim loves about zombie movies. That it's about how bad humans are, not zombies. So they're pretty much turned away by everybody they try to talk to. So they just go chill in their own little corner. And the brownies start arguing and spill some fairy dust which gets on one of them, Rule. He ends up falling into... It's kind of like... It makes him like euphoric, and it's kind of a setup for when the fairy dust comes back later on.
He microdoses himself with the dust of the brokenhearted.
He gets the dust of the... That's right, the dust of the brokenhearted. Makes him lovey-dovey. Except he falls in love with beer. He falls into a mug of ale and just gets himself...
Is this just ecstasy?
Pretty drunk. It's pure MDMA. The fairy is just like a rough daikini person that like lives in town. Yeah, we call him Fairy. He's not a fairy. It's one of those ironic names. He's like a huge fat guy. It's like, yeah, his name's
just
Fairy.
Glow sticks and drugs.
So the place starts to get rowdy, and the one brownie's like just remarks as much, knocks into Willow. Willow falls through like a trap door into like this other room, like a bedroom, I guess, where he runs into Mad Mardigan.
How do I look?
Cover your face! Not you!
Where the hell did you come from?
I knew I shouldn't have trusted you.
Don't I know you? I stole the baby from you, Daikini, while you were taking a pee-pee!
Cover your face!
Who is in drag because apparently he's sleeping with this woman in the room, and her husband is like on his way there. How did they fashion like the fake breasts, like the stuffed breasts? Because those like
he pulls
just
an
laying
apple
around.
out. He pulls an apple out at one point. It gave me flashbacks to Wild Wild West. It's like, did you fill it with buckwheat that was laying around?
Bags of sand.
Which, if the wife is trying to rush him out of there before the husband comes, why not just dip out instead of taking the time to stay in that room and get all the supplies you can to make a disguise for when the husband gets there? It's
right.
Just leave.
Just leave.
Well, if there's only one way in and out of that room, and it leads directly into the bar area where the husband is, just leaving may not have worked.
Something. True. It kind of seems like they're interrupting, or something's already in progress because the lug, the husband, comes to the door like ready to fight. Where is he?
Hello, dear. There's nobody here but me and my cousin Hilda.
Hilda.
Lug comes in and immediately takes to Hilda, which I thought was strange. Like, well, I guess he's not totally a faithful husband.
Yeah, it's like she's worried about the husband. It's like, you have to get out of here. And then the husband shows up and is just like, I am going to hit on
your
this
cousin's
woman
hot.
directly in front of my wife.
Hilda? This is my husband, Lug.
Big husband.
Yes.
How do you do?
Hilda. Ooh. Come on, girlie. Don't be shy. Wanna breed?
And they say romance is dead and terror's lean or whatever.
At that moment, Sorsha and Kale, I don't know if Kale's with her. No, Sorsha and her like search party burst into the tavern and start looking for the baby. They start checking all the babies. They come to that.
How many babies are at that bar that they have to like go down a line?
It's a tavern, but it's also a daycare.
It's a milk tavern.
Hey, I would go to that.
It's not for you, Tim. It's for babies.
Hey, don't kink shame over here.
Chocolate milk, cereal milk. I feel like that's a kind of thing that would really just thrive in like New York City.
Yeah, that's a hipster thing for sure.
Two completely different wavelengths with that one.
Oh.
So we had like my sister-in-law just had a baby, so just the whole concept of feeding an infant is very fresh in our minds. And during the movie, one topic that my wife and I discussed was you now have an infant, or rather a newborn. A newborn's only meal is breast milk. How do you let this thing survive without the mother? So, like, at that point, we're like, well, they probably have, like, milkmaids or something, or whatever, what are they called? Like, yeah, milk at that time. So that's my thought process of this just happens to be, like, a milk bar. It's not, like, a cow bar meant for, like...
I immediately thought it was, like, a bar with a bunch of different kinds of milk that people can, like, a... No, I was thinking more along the lines, probably like a Clockwork Orange kind of milk bar.
Armadillo milk.
But yeah, I agree. I wonder how they were getting milk during that.
And it was
time
weird
frame.
on how he's like, what do you call it? Like the milk skin, and it's just like a skein of like you.
Oh yeah,
put water
because
in it,
Matt
but it's got
Mardigan
milk in
grabs it, and he's like, "That's for the baby."
Right. I wouldn't steal from a baby.
It's just a stupid point that it has no bearing on the movie, and I don't give any sort of negative points against it for that kind of thing. But it's just one of those real life points that how do you feed an infant when you don't have the mother to feed it?
Well,
you can't really
milk
give
anything
it
with nipples, Nick.
Oh, Tim.
So Sorsha bursts into the Inn of the Crying Babies.
Official title.
Starts checking out the babies. She's like, "Let me see your papers, babies." She comes across eventually Mad Mardigan in his drag. She's trying to get the baby out. Because he's holding Laura. She tries to grab him and he's dodging her. She takes off her mask and she's a hot warrior. And Mad Mardigan is like,
Swing! Swing!
he stabs her.
Wow, you're hot.
Speaking.
Not with his penis, but with a knife.
I don't know how to tell my feelings exactly.
It's like when a boy really likes a girl, so he like teases her and slaps her.
So this is when Mad Mardigan escapes with the baby, and then Willow has to jump out the window to get onto the cart.
Well, that was a quick summation of what just happened.
I'm sorry, you want the slow summation?
Oh, I love, yeah, well, so Mad Mardigan, sees her, he's kind of enamored, starts to hit on her. She goes for the baby, and he pushes her back, like, forcefully, like, "Oh, are you a woman? Because you're really strong." And then she pretty much uncovers his ruse, that it's a man.
You're no woman!
Now, honey.
Not a woman!
Take it easy.
Gentlemen, not a woman! Meet Lug.
And that Lug hears that, the husband, and is like, "What the fuck?"
Oh, yes. Because then he goes berserk.
He starts to brawl that pretty much lets them, a cover for their escape out the window. They duck out the back into a wagon and begin escape. A chase scene ensues.
What if he took down Sorsha and all of those troops? They escape and then find out later that it's like, no, he killed 14 guys in that bar.
Sorsha's like crawling, like with a broken leg out. Like, Jesus Christ. Lug in a blind, lustful rage. This is the first time I really noticed the music. I think it just comes in like it's like fanfare. It's like Indiana Jonesy, adventure-y music.
Bad Mardigan, stop!
I feel this music is from something else. I can't put my finger on it.
It sounds familiar, yeah. It's a familiar
I almost want to say
it.
like Goonies or some other kind of high adventure kind of movie, not like an epic kind of movie, but just I feel I've heard the music someplace else.
Well, you said James Horner did the music, which would make sense because I know like he's done a lot of like the ones that you mentioned from there all have a similar kind of like adventure to them.
Yeah. Jumanji.
Yeah, Jumanji or like Mask of Zorro or
Yes.
all of those types of things. I think you said Rocketeer, right?
Yep.
Which
And
I know Rocketeer. I love the soundtrack. of that
And
one.
Commando. He did Commando
Joe
as well.
Johnston did the
Yeah, I was going to say
producing
he
on
was
this.
because he was a producer, and then Joe Johnston did Rocketeer. So it's like it's always weird seeing those connections of did people meet on the set for this, or was it they already knew each other? Or
Yeah, I liked how Dennis Muren and Phil Tippett were in this too.
Oh, they make appearances?
Well, they weren't in it, but they
in the crew. Yeah.
Yeah, they did the creature effects.
Phil Tippett, yeah. Like he did a good job. That
Mhm.
his effect later on is pretty good.
I almost want to spend the rest of the season doing like 6 Degrees, where my movie pick needs to have some connection to the previous person's movie.
We could do it.
Like I would do Rocketeer to follow up Willow based on Joe Johnston and James Horner.
Except there's some set movies already, so we'd have to figure out a connection. We kind of pigeonhole ourselves, but
I might change my pick.
2023. Don't do it. Don't do it. Stick with your heart. No, do what you want. I don't care. It'll be fun either way.
So Madmartigan's on a cart.
They're on a cart and they're chasing and the music is picked. This is just a good sequence. Like, I'm not going to go through every single thing that happens here, but it's kind of the classic, guys are chasing them. They're jumping onto the cart. Madmartigan's struggling to keep them off while Willow's trying to grab the reins. Tim's favorite characters, the brownies, are just kind of the ones drunk and like just falling off the cart and screaming.
We get our first Wilhelm scream in this chase as well.
Oh, I wrote Wilhelm scream, you motherfucker. I hate the Wilhelm scream.
You must love this movie, then.
I forgive. I don't begrudge. Like, it doesn't ruin a movie, obviously, but I do hate it.
Is it just because it's so overused?
Yes, because, well, I know they do it like, oh, it's a sound guy homage, but I'm like, I've had enough.
Yeah, for the viewers that are watching our live broadcast, for the listeners that are listening, the Wilhelm scream is kind of like a film Easter egg, where whenever sound effects are made for every movie, usually it's made for that movie, but there's one specific sound effect that's often recycled and put into, there's too many to name. And it's usually in some kind of action sequence where someone falls, they insert this specific sound effect as played here. And whenever you hear that, it's always like, oh, okay, and it's called the Wilhelm scream.
Guaranteed. Yeah. If you think you don't know it, when you just heard that scream, you're like, oh, that one. And now you'll hear it forever. You'll always know when it comes up.
Yeah, it's been in like everything since the 50s.
It's a cheeky just thing that sound guys put in and be like, hey, we're sound guys, and we...
Can you picture being the sound guy for like distant drums back in the 50s, and that guy falls off the cliff, and you do the Wilhelm scream, and be like, yep, that will be used in 500 films.
It was popularized, I think the one that, it was like the guy got shot like by an arrow, and they used the Wilhelm scream. Was that the original, or was that the one that like made it like take off as a popular sound effect?
I thought in Distant Drums he falls off a cliff.
Because there's an original recording, but then there was like, oh, this movie is where like, I don't know, became a famous thing to do. He gets like shot with an arrow. One of them's the original. In any case, Tim will tell us later. It's the end of the episode. In Tim's Fun Fact Corner, a new segment I just made up that we're doing. Get ready for that, Tim.
I'm sure he is.
He doesn't talk the rest of the episode.
Yeah, the one that I'm thinking of isn't this movie then.
You're not thinking of the Real Monsters scream, are you?
Because supposedly this is the first time the sound effect gets used. But you're right, it's when a guy gets shot with an arrow, but it is not the Wilhelm scream. But supposedly they say that's the first.
I will, if I ever have the kind of power where I'm directing a movie or something, I'm like, I hear the Wilhelm scream, I will fire the sound mixer.
You'll ask to get the original copy, and just so you can destroy it.
So Wilhelm, yes, one of the guys gets punched, falls down or something. Wilhelm scream makes an appearance. I get angry. They eventually bring the wagon to a stop. They get rid of the pursuers, yada yada, and then Willow is like,
go home, Willow. It's a dangerous world.
Yeah, and that's why we need your help.
My help? Huh. What do you need my help for? You're a sorcerer.
You're a great warrior and a swordsman. And you're 10 times bigger than I am, stupid.
He just tells him no. He's like, I will never help you again. But conveniently, they're headed in the same direction anyway. He's like, fuck.
Oh, no! That's the way I'm going. All right. You can follow me as far as the lake. But that's it.
I guess I have to kind of help.
Yeah, like I took that as he didn't want to just out and out say, I'll help you. So it's like his way of, well, I mean, I guess I'll come along with you as soon as you're going the same direction.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I guess that could be it. I guess that, well, I mean, he does leave though again later on, so sticks to his word. But yeah, that could be what he's saying. But they head off towards the lake. So they're both going in the direction of the lake. Mad Mardigan seems to be actually softening on the kid and like the plight and everything, even though his words are different. Words are wind. We cut back after they set off and see a brief little moment of the Queen and General Kale, Shao Kahn face man, just reporting that like the baby continues to elude them. She smacks him in the face like,
Find the child. Find the child! Time is running out.
do not disappoint me. Is there a Star Wars line that's like that? I'm going to put that in there.
Which?
Or like, do not fail me, or something like that. Come on, Nick. God damn it.
It's different when you're in the hot seat.
And then that's a quick interaction. Then we're back. They're camping for the night. Willow tries to, tell about Alora's, the prophecy, essentially, that she's a princess. Madmar thinks it's a crock of shit. And they go to bed, and later Willow pulls out the wand because he hasn't really spent any time with it, and him want to be a magician. I don't know where he gets these incantations from, but he starts to say some magic words. The subtitles were like
the dome.
The subtitles were like speaks, weird language or something. And
gibberish.
Willow speaks some gibberish. The wand lights up.
Tuatha. Lotwar.
Explodes like a 4th of July firework that you're not supposed to be playing with. Shoots him up into the tree. Which I guess could be useful for escaping. That doesn't really come back, but he lands himself in the tree. Mad Mardigan just kind of looks at him and is like, oh, have fun up there, and goes back to bed. The next day, we get to the bank, the lake shore, rather, where out in the middle is the island where supposedly Razel, the sorceress, is holed up.
That lake is huge.
Like,
I almost want to find out
lake.
that it's not any like alterations, like there's no matte painting to it, because it's like I would want to go there.
It looks pretty.
Yeah.
Well, I guess if they went to New Zealand for anything, I assume all of this is New Zealand. That's an outdoor location. Because that place has so many different landscapes, and B, just to save money, or like not moving the production around too much. So you probably can go there.
So that is the Milford Sound Fiordland National Park in Southland, New Zealand.
There you go.
The lake scene.
We can do the Lord of the Rings and the Willow tour.
Although that's when he's kayaking. Evidently, the mountain and lake scenes themselves are Queenstown, Otago, also New Zealand.
That's a bucket list place. I will go. Mark my words, I will be in New Zealand someday.
I'm just going to go into Boston, take a duck boat tour, and be like, how far does this thing go?
You pirate it. You steal it. Look at me. I'm the Mad Mardigan. He died
right there in the harbor. Tell my story. It's a short story. Remember that time that guy stole a duck boat and died in the harbor?
It's a short one, but it's a pretty good one. It's the craziest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life.
Well, welcome to Duck Boat Tours.
And to your left, you can see the buoy where I've marked where that man jumped overboard and died. There's like one of those memorials, like there's a cross and like pictures and flowers.
But it's like bobbing up and down.
Who keeps after this?
Who swims out there and puts stuff?
So they finally arrive to the bank of the lake, and Mad Mardigan is like, well, yeah, I got you here. I'm going off on my own. He kicks some sand at the brownies, pisses them off. That was pretty funny. He hates the brownies. They hate him. He says goodbye, kisses Alora, heads off, and Willow jumps on a nearby boat to head out to the island. And when he gets there, it's a really small, it's not like an island. I mean, it is, but it's just like a spit of land. He realizes, what animal is this? Do you guys know specifically? The sorceress
I thought the same
is not
exact question. I
was like Googling like flying squirrel. Like, no, that's too big. Marmot, muskrat.
It's a bushtail possum.
Wait, how'd you find that out? Oh, did you just Google it? What is this?
I did.
Why didn't I do that? I don't know.
Yeah, it's
a bushtail
funny.
Possum.
Yeah.
It kind of has like
possums are cute as fuck in countries that are not the U.S. Ours looks like a horrified like creation of
looks
just
like crack. It looks like it's on crack.
Yeah. And then you look at the possums in other countries and they look like adorable pets that you would want to have.
Right.
No offense to possums.
I wonder if that possum could kill you somehow, though, because everything... Well, that's not Australia, but it's close enough.
Distant relation to the drop bear.
Sorry, I got ahead of myself there, but Willow lands and doesn't see the sorceress, but finds a common bushtail possum, and it starts talking to him. And then he
exact words. My gosh, is that a bushtail possum?
Just pulls out a camera, just starts taking pictures. My wife's never going to believe this. He realizes the sorceress Razel has been turned into this animal and can't do any of her cool magic because I guess you can't hold a wand. And even though she can talk, I wonder if she could hold the wand, if she could do all that shit. Do you have to be a human? I mean, she can speak.
What are you doing here? I've come to find the great sorceress, Finn Razel.
That's me. I'm Razel.
In any case, she realizes that Willow has the wand, that she's been sent there by Shalandria, and that they got to take out the queen. She's like, I guess, was already prepared for this prophecy thing that's going on. They get back to the shore, and it's like, all right, turn my ass back into a human, please. And Willow, I don't think he even gets. Yeah, he doesn't even get to. Go ahead.
I like how she's like, when you recite the spell, you must pour your whole concentration into it. You must focus entirely on the spell, and the whole time he's doing it, she's just shouting shit at him. Like, lady, are you trying to screw this up?
Well, it's because she knows as soon as she's turned human, she has to go fight a sorceress wizard or like an evil queen. Focus, Willow.
1, 2, 1, 2, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5.
Guess it didn't work out. Okay, I'm gonna go eat some berries. Save that sound clip. We'll just drop it in different places.
So before he can really get the spell going,
it sounds like the kind of sound effect that somebody would just like drop into, like when you're playing a game. It's like the peasants chopping wood, and you always hear like the same 3 things. More wood.
Starting to get into Simlish here. This girl is Freydische. Oh, that sounds like one of the spells that Willow does.
Thank you, Willow. I'm returned. Squopu Doby.
Mishmash. Sul.
Army Batar. Glart. Shaka Dune.
Before he can do the spell, Mad Mardigan shows up, but he's been captured by Sorsha and the gang. Not with Kale, though. Sorsha's her search party.
Which Willow immediately assumes that Mad Mardigan sold him out.
Right.
But to make sure that the audience knows that Mad Mardigan's a good guy, the guy that's holding him like even says out loud, "We told you that we would find them without any of your help." It's like, just to let you know that Mad Mardigan didn't break.
Yeah, it was kind of rash of him to assume, like, especially because he's tied up and like is a prisoner. I don't know. It's like, well, he could have given away their position when he was threatened, but like they could have just seen where he was coming from and just come back that way. But
in like his Leia Return of the Jedi outfit, he's just like shirtless with just the leftover skirt and boots at this point.
So they take everybody hostage. I don't know what do they know about Razel? I mean, like they just see, there's that guy looking for a possum to eat. He just grabs it. Like You're coming
oh my
with
God,
me
a brush-tail
too.
possum. My wife will never believe this.
Oh, I can finish finish my scavenger hunt. It's the last thing I need. So they throw Roselle in a sack and take Willow, but they don't get the brownies. The brownies are off fucking doing whatever, or just hiding. But the brownies follow them. I don't know how quickly they can.
How they keep up with horses?
Yeah,
while
I guess
they're 4 inches tall.
We'll assume the Lord of the Rings
Eagles
picked them up. Yeah.
Earlier too, right after they get attacked and they're on the horses, and they still have the horses, which I never understood when they ran away. Why didn't they keep the horses?
Oh, you mean in the wagon?
Yeah, I missed that point. I forgot about it, but I wrote it like in my notes later.
Yeah,
because later on, what's that?
It was a diversion because they got off and they slapped the horses to take off with the cart, and then they hid.
They got
Yeah, because I wrote in my notes later, because they did end up taking horses much later in the movie. I'm like, you had 2 horses before. Why didn't you just take them? That makes sense.
Meanwhile, Madmartigan continues to have the weirdest hostile sexual tension with Sorsha.
What are you staring at?
Your leg. I'd like to break it.
You may find that difficult, slave, while I'm up here and you're down there.
I hate that woman.
Which means they'll fall in love later.
So they set off with their prisoners back to, I guess, camp, just eventually trying to get back to the queen with the baby. The Willow and Madmartigan are tied up at the wrists and just being pulled, not dragged, but walked behind the horse.
It's the only way I can get cardio in.
Meanwhile, Roselle is trying to... I don't know if anybody... Maybe they do know at this point, because she's just blatantly talking to Willow in full earshot of everybody, like trying to get him to practice like spells, enchantments, and such.
Remember, swish and flick. Wingardium Leviosa.
I like how once Willow falls down after walking so long, they Master Blaster the rest of the way.
Yeah, he sits him on this. Yeah, it's like a kid going to Disneyland. They just or a parade. Madmartigan slings him up on the shoulders.
That's how they fight the rest of the movie. You may be able to face me, but can you face 4 blades?
So they get to a camp where General Kale is holed up. Sorsha tells them they got the baby. Willow and Madmartigan are locked up. Roselle, the bush-tailed possum, she's locked up near them. And she's like, all right, let's get the hell out of here. So Madmartigan knocks the cage down, and it's time for Willow to try and turn her back again. I love Madmartigan's... She's like... He's like, this is bullshit,
What are you gonna look like if this works?
Don't interrupt.
Sorry.
Hither green and band Kleider Blunenacht.
I am a young, beautiful woman.
Concentrate, Willow.
So Willow fucks up here. He doesn't believe, apparently. He just messes up and turns her into a crow. So she's now a crow. She's not dead, at least.
It's a step up.
Yeah. Easier to get around.
Fly.
Right. Yeah. So now it's time to break out of the cage itself. And the brownies show up at this point. Like, hey, we followed you and got here somehow. Madmartigan goes to help. And Gene, what's his name? Ron-Gene? What the fuck's his name? Ron-Gene. He smacks Madmartigan away with the dust of heartbreak or whatever, fairy dust of heartbreak. And
that bewitches him and somehow whitens his teeth.
Does it? That's right. That first shot, his teeth are super fucked up.
Yeah, he gets cleaned when they separate that first time. Because I was looking for that too. In the end, his teeth are normal again.
Which, okay, I'm going to go on a tangent. So his teeth look like they've never been brushed in that scene. And all of a sudden they're clean in the next one. So I don't. It's not like just brushing them would have gotten rid of the disease, the dental disease he had. But yeah, Nick, or Tim, you introduced the damn plot thing into my head now. Well, not really a plot thing. It's just like whatever.
Did any of them have toothbrushes in this film?
No. They travel without it. So he gets enchanted by the dust that we saw earlier enchanted Rule when he stumbled around and fell into the beer. Mad Mardigan's happy as like Willow's like, what's wrong with you? They get to the tent where the baby's being held, where Laura is, and where Sorsha is sleeping next to the baby. So I guess it just maybe like since Mad Mardigan's into women, it only works if he looks at a woman, because he looked at Willow, he looked at everybody else, like he didn't start to get the hots for them. So I don't know how that fairy dust works, but that MDMA. So he goes to get the baby, but he sees Sorsha there, and like the dust takes over, and he's like,
he just spits bars.
Sorsha. Wake from this hateful sleep. It deprives me of your beauty. The beauty of your eyes.
One move, jackass, and you really will be a woman.
You are my sun, my moon, my starlit sky. Without you, I dwell in darkness. I love you.
What are you doing here?
He's a poet, and he didn't even know that he was a poet.
It's just like sonnets.
Your power has enchanted me. I stand helpless against it. Come to me now. Tonight, let me worship you in my arms.
Get away from me!
I love you.
Stop saying that!
How can I stop the beating of my heart? It pounds like never before.
Out of fear.
Out of love.
I can stop it. I'll kill you.
Death next to love is a trivial thing. Your touch is worth 100,000 deaths.
And she's like going with it too. Like it works. Like he's like, she's like, I'm DTF. Like by the end of it, and then it's interrupted by General Kale rushes in and is like, what the fuck?
Yes, sir. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Kale's like, I want to watch. But she realizes the baby's gone and that he's only in here. She thinks she's in there just to trick her, so she tries to shank him. They escape.
He finally gets a sword.
Yeah.
And I love his sword twirl. Because we finally, after the joke Mad Mardigan, we finally really get to see him like be useful. Well, not like useful, but like show off why people not necessarily respect him, but know him.
He wasn't all talk.
Yeah.
You are great.
And then he twirls a sword and falls down. Just slips on the ice.
In my notes, my next note is, the brownies are then left behind. Oh no.
Oh no, wait. And then Mad Mardigan's like, it's time to Clark Griswold this shit. So he's like, he gets it's like, get on that shield, Willow, and take the baby. And then Mardigan jumps on the back with them, and they go for the best sled ride of their lives. Tim, earlier you sent me a screenshot, which is obviously stunt doubles and a fake Willow, right? I was kind of watching that scene, I forgot, and I couldn't find that shot where that happens, but Tim found a funny screen grab where you see the...
Yeah, it looks like they just have somebody in a posing as Mad Mardigan in the back, and it's just like a mannequin with like a potato head in the front, or like some sort of mask.
It's like a potato
quick.
head.
Like the whole thing works. It's quick.
Yes, it does.
But I just happened to be taking notes, and I paused so I can finish my thought, and then I look over and it just froze on that exact frame.
Oh, so that was just serendipitous.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a funny shot.
I mean, it's such a cool sled ride, that whole sequence of them like going down through and like all of these different wild snow tunnels and jumps and everything.
Epic sledding. Mad Mardigan at one point takes a dive off the sled and
goes hot rodding down the hill.
Yeah. Willow keeps going, and he comes to a camp and like crashes inside of a house. I fucking laughed out loud when Willow comes back outside, and coming down the hill is just a huge snowball, and you just see feet sticking out one end and hands on the other. Mad Mardigan just turns into a snowball. And it's
because there's so much in this movie that, like, there's funny stuff, there's fun stuff, but at no point does it, like, set me up to expect this kind of comedy of, like, literally him in a snowball coming downhill and then just shattering and climbing back out.
Yeah, that got me pretty good. I forgot completely about that. Like, I hadn't seen this.
It was that and the ignore the bird, follow the river. Those were the two that just caught me off guard.
So much of this, the specifics of this, I forgot because I haven't watched it in 15, 20 years, something like that.
It's good of you to elect to refresh.
It was a great refresh. I'm glad I refreshed. But yeah, that moment surprised me. I forgot that was part of it completely. So yeah, the Mardigan snowball explodes. He gets released from his icy prison, and then they realize that Eric and what's left of his army from the crossroads are camped out here. I don't know if it's just a camp or if it's a little, because there seems to be non-soldiers here as well at this like little town. I don't know, town in the mountains. But Saoirse and Kale are hot on the trail, so they duck into a cellar and are hiding there until Saoirse, I say Saoirse, not the actress, Saoirse Ronan, Saoirse finds, they're hiding in a cellar that's covered by a rug. The secret door, she uncovers it, goes down there, and is taken hostage by Mad Mardigan. It pretty much lets them get up and out safely because she's the queen's daughter, and the riders, the soldiers aren't going to risk her dying, so that's pretty much they're out.
This is where Eric accuses Mad Mardigan of being just in everything for himself, and like he's a thief, and tells Willow like he's not really with you.
Yeah, my next note is Eric sows doubt about Mad Mardigan's intentions here.
You always told me you served no one, Mad Mardigan. Since when are you a crusader? He's not gonna help you, Peck. He's a worthless thief. I'm not a thief, Eric.
Which, like, did you steal from Eric? Because it's like, Eric, we've seen you twice in this movie, and both times you're like, Mad Mardigan, you work for nobody but yourself. It's like, did you try to go in on like a small business venture with him, and he like dipped out, and he's like, you left me holding the bag.
But like immediately he's like, no, look, like we're getting out of here. Do you want to come with us, Eric?
And Eric turns him down again.
Yeah.
Which
like,
I said, like, oh, I guess Eric turns him down helping them again because he'd rather die in this tent.
Yeah.
But it made sense in the next scene. And I was like, oh, okay. No,
yeah, or at least, yeah. They come out of the tent. They're threatening. Mad Mardigan's threatening Saoirse's life if they don't throw their weapons down, which lets them hop on a horse. And Willow just does like a summer what maneuver he does. He gets onto a horse like from the back window. They take off, and before the riders can get back on their horses and pursue, that's when Eric and his remaining soldiers pop out and show him what's for.
It would have been great if they pop out as an ambush and then just die anyway.
Oh, severely underestimated the situation. Tell Mad Mardigan I think he's cool. Why did I write they escape on horseback and Eric covers them by taking out the Nilfgaardians? Oh, I just couldn't remember their name. I wrote Nilfgaardians. That's a Witcher thing. What is their name? They have like a collective name. Like the... whatever.
The Asgardians.
The Asgardians.
The Venga Boys?
They're coming.
They're here to bring that boom, 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 boom.
There's a old bald man who's very spry leading them. There's a Six Flags reference. So continuing on, Mardigan's riding with Saoirse in front of him as a hostage, and she's like,
I suppose my power enchanted you and you were helpless against it.
Sort of.
Then what?
Went away.
Went away. I dwell in darkness without you and it went away.
he's like, I wasn't myself. Like, I hate you still. But you can tell he's like kind of like, wait, do I like her? Like, did I say that? She pretty much distracts him, wrestles him off the horse. I think maybe kicks him in the nuts at one point, but I don't...
My magic acorns.
Right in the magic acorns. She distracts him again and runs away. Willow's like, leave the bitch. They continue on without her. She gets back to Kale.
Mad Mardigan and Willow find Terazleen.
Terazleen! We finally get to Terazleen.
Mighty empty.
Mighty empty. Or is it?
Bum, bum, bum.
Question mark. You know what? I just realized, yeah, they find that, I guess they wrap it up. Those people are dead. All of the inhabitants have been encased in stone, and I guess that's a troll maneuver. Because Mad Mardigan, they're like looking around like, this is what, I spent my time, this is a safe place? Like, there's nobody here. It's like deserted. And he steps in troll shit, apparently. And then I guess that's why, because there's people there, they're just encased in stone or frozen in stone.
Which we'll get to it, but at the end, after everything's said and done, there were people walking around in that group that didn't look like they're from Eric's Warriors. That I'm wondering, so after all of this is done, did they turn back? Or did everybody see this as like prime real estate? And they're like, I was looking to move. I hear they have a baby queen. Let's go.
I was kind of fond of that two-headed beast thing, but yeah, so they're at this deserted place. Mad Mardigan kind of starts exploring. He finds the armory, levels up, puts on some literally, like, I think maybe Peter Jackson got Rohan's armor here because it looks pretty similar.
The helmet he had, like, it looks like from the Warhammer miniature, like the game. He looks like an elven spearman with like that very tall helmet with like the top knot.
Yeah, the plume. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Mad Mardigan comes out. They see Saoirse and Kale have caught up with them, and they're rushing towards the gates, and Mad Mardigan, just in time, battens down the hatches, blocks their entrance, and they immediately set to like siege weapons, like they cut down a tree and start making a battering ram. And I wonder how long this montage is, because Willow and Mad Mardigan set to immediately fortifying the castle, and Home Alone booby trapping.
Probably took roughly as long as it took them to chop down a tree and whittle it into a battering ram.
Yeah, hack the limbs off. Were they on horses, like trying to use the battering ram?
Actually, in
hindsight,
swear
they were.
I think they were.
No,
on
they
horses.
They made the battering ram right there, because I thought the same thing at first, but then I realized why drag the tree from the edge of the forest line to the front line of battle when they can just have the horses drag it, and then they can.
I feel like the horses rammed it at first, though, at least.
Well, because they had to shape it. Because when they dragged it, it was just the full tree, and then they shaped it down to the normal size of a battering ram. But the door also looked decrepit, and it looked like you can just reach your arm through the center crack and just lift the reinforcement out.
We overthought this.
A little bit.
It's like the door's unlocked the whole time. Like, you didn't even try opening it, did you? So they get ready to defend the castle. And that's when the fucking trolls start slithering down the castle walls.
Forgot about these. And then like wide shot of Willow running across the bridge, and all of a sudden you see like these two black figures, like one crawling under the bridge and one crawling up. It's like the descent. It's all of a sudden, wait a second, what's that?
I have to watch the descent now.
You do, it's good.
Yeah, trolls show up. They are kind of terrifying looking.
It was like if they came from Harry and the Hendersons 2, where Harry meets like the evil version.
Yep.
Yeah, Willow runs across the bridge, and like Tim said, he's like kind of climbing underneath the bridge, like matching his speed. He pops up, and Willow pulls out the wand of Shalandria and just do some spell shit on him. That's what Rizal says. Do some spell shit on him.
Isn't that what Frodo shouts to Gandalf in the Mines of Moria? Gandalf, do some spell shit on him. I'm in the club, aren't I? And Gandalf walks away.
I'm in the goddamn club, aren't I? Put the sunglasses on. Yes. Willow gets out the wand.
Willow, use the wand on that troll.
Turns the troll down into what looks like a goopy brain.
He devolves him. It's Super Mario style.
Yeah,
it was jarring as fuck.
Yeah.
I was not expecting that. Through the whole rest of the movie, it was very out of character.
He Cronenbergs him.
This sequence I thought was part of... I remembered like with the monster, and I was like, oh shit, is that what's going to happen now? But yeah, he devolves. He turns into a pile of goop and what looks like a brain, but it's just, I don't know, organic bloody matter. And these chest burster alien kind of things pop out of it. And I don't know I think he kicks it or if it just falls off. He kicks it into the moat below.
Yeah, he kicks it into the moat.
Yeah, and it starts to bubble.
Like, what spell did he cast that he turned this thing into some sort of meat pile that turns into a hydra?
Yeah, a pretty
Imagine
intimidating...
if he did that to like one of the soldiers instead of a troll.
It turns into a 2-story hydra, a 2-headed 2-story Balchinian hydra. It's got like a scrotum on its chin.
Putting it lightly.
It's kind of it's like, it looks like it's a mutated like a Brachiosaurus, kind of like a fucked up Brachiosaur.
Honestly, some of the shots were really well done, and I think they held up.
Yeah, this is where I know it's stop motion. This is where I guess Phil Tippett comes in.
Yeah.
It almost seemed like the mess of goo he turns the troll into kicks into the moat. It bubbles up. There's just
that looked terrible. That part looked bad.
What do you mean?
In terms of like the quality of the special effect.
But which
I
one?
felt that didn't when he does the magic spell and it turns into like the puddle of brain.
Yeah, I don't
and
recall.
And the things are coming out of it.
Yeah.
That wasn't so much, but then after he kicks it and then you see it grow behind
Mad Mardigan, yeah.
Yeah. And it has that like, oh shit, something's growing behind him. I thought that was a really cool shot.
He thinks they're scared of him, but he doesn't see the monster emerging behind him. It looks like the Hydra effects, like it almost seems like they tried to put motion blur on it, because I know that was one of the drawbacks to stop motion is there's no natural blur because they're just still photos put back, back to back to back. Whereas with film cameras, you get a natural blur between frames. So that's what it makes stop motion kind of jarring and stand out more. But I thought it seemed like they tried to smooth that out. I don't know, maybe I was just imagining it, but it looked smoother. It was a hulking freaking monster too. Like, holy shit, that just came out of the...
I like how it pops up and like the enemy army runs away outside the gate and Mad Mardigan runs away outside the gate. Yeah. And all of them are watching the Hydra and all of a sudden all of them look at each other like, wait a second. And then they attack Mad Mardigan.
Get him! Yeah, that was a good moment. That was better than him thinking he was intimidating when it was the monster behind him. That was a funnier joke. I mean, this is a whole big set piece. There's a lot going on in here. Lots of cutting back and forth.
Booby traps just absolutely destroying the enemy army.
Yeah, he's lots of crossbow like traps. Like he's got hidden crossbows. He like leads them down to a section. He just turns around and fucking shoots him in the chest.
Yeah, he like jumps out from a wall with 2 crossbows and just shoots guys.
The thing that gets me is he lays out one bear trap, and it looks pretty obvious, and it's just funny to me how that one guy managed to step in that one specific spot. But he's wearing armor, so on the flip side too, yeah, his foot got caught in the trap, but I'm pretty sure the armor protected him. So he screams out in pain, but it didn't look like any damage was done. So if, I was thinking that maybe just was more like, what was that?
I mean, either that, he had chainmail and he's only resistant to slashing damage.
Maybe we're overthinking it.
Willow realizes that the stones, or his acorns, do turn things into stone because he drops one on the bridge and immediately one of the planks turns to stone. She's like, oh shit.
Even to this point in the movie, I still think that the High Alduin was still full of shit.
He got lucky.
So when the thing fell and it turned to stone, I actually thought for a second, like, holy shit, he was serious.
A broken sorcerer's
Hi,
right twice a
your
day.
acorns worked. They what?
What?
I just didn't expect him to really
Oh my
know
god,
what
I've
he
been
was
carrying
doing.
those in my pocket this whole time.
I could have really hurt somebody.
I just need to sit a spell.
That ends up, I think that stone plank falls out and another troll
that's
is...
what somebody like trips through.
Yeah, another troll is chasing Willow and they fall through. He's hanging on to the troll who's hanging on to the bridge. And Hydra sees this as a nice meal and fucking just... It seems like the T-Rex are eating Eddie in the Lost World. The Hydra grabs the...
Carr.
Eddie Carr, yeah. The troll gets Eddie Carr'd by these two. I mean, we assume. We don't see him get ripped apart, but they both take an end of...
I was waiting for the point where you see them grab and start to pull, but I was waiting for the...
Like a good cheese pull?
Yeah. No, like the snap of the body
like a
getting
bad cheese
cut
pull.
clean in half.
Yeah. They essentially just keep feeding the Hydra.
Stop giving it more men.
They can't keep getting away with this. It was pretty heavily telegraphed, but at least just in this moment, because they set up a catapult during the booby trap phase. But Mad Mardigan jumps onto the launch pad of the catapult, sees Willow's in trouble, and like just slashes the tension line and launches himself across. He like smacks into the wall.
So you must have loved this battle scene because we got not one, not two, but 3 Wilhelm screams through this whole movie.
Were they really? Oh, were there more screams in here? I didn't notice them.
Yeah, there's one when we first talked about it, and then there's 2 in this battle scene.
I was taking lots of notes. So
because when I wrote the first one, I actually didn't even think of writing the first one. Actually, I did. Yeah, like Wilhelm during chase. And then I wrote the second one, but then the third one came so quickly afterward that I'm like, 3 Wilhelms in one movie.
He can't keep getting away with it.
So I realized that for years, I had the screams mixed up because there's like 2 different screams. There's the Wilhelm.
You're talking about the real monster scream, I bet.
I'm talking about I guess it's called like the Howie scream. Yeah,
like that one. Yeah.
That's why when you said like, "Yep, it happens here," and I was like, I wouldn't have missed that.
That's usually like I'm falling off to my death kind of scream. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like English.
I knew there was 2 different ones.
Yeah, as a kid, that most notably was at the end of the Real Monsters intro cartoon,
followed by the chuckle.
Yeah. Yeah. So Mad Mardigan launches himself off the catapult, smacks off the wall, and just... I think there's does he kill a troll there again? Maybe that's the troll that gets eaten, or I don't know. He jumps off onto the Hydra, stabs one of the heads from top to bottom through the jaw, and essentially like traps his mouth shut. And Willow kills some dudes here, like some of the guys make it upstairs to get the Elora. He just runs at him, just stabs him in the belly. I was like, Willow, you fucking killed somebody, finally. He doesn't seem traumatized by it.
Through the movie too, there's blood on the swords. Wasn't expecting to see that. Yeah,
I didn't notice. I appreciate the
God, Willow, you killed someone. You should lay low.
He spends restless nights back at home, just PTSD.
I turned a man to stone.
I thought you just returned a baby. All the things I've seen.
At the end of the movie, he shows back up in town, but he's completely covered in blood. And he's like, well, the adventure's done. And they're like, oh, God.
What?
Hey,
What's everybody
Burglecut,
looking
do you
at?
still want that land? No, Willow, it's okay.
Thanks, Burglecut. Butt.
That's not my name. It is now. You're right, right, it is now.
Blank smile.
1,000-yard stare.
So in this midst, Sorsha is like watching Mad Mardigan like just kick a bunch of ass, and she seems kind of in awe. I was like, she is definitely DTF in this moment. She's I don't know if it's like she's like admiring him, but like, I mean, there's also the plight, I guess. I don't know, like she's starting to turn, obviously. She's like, you can see she's gonna betray, just like the seer told her mom that she would. She's gonna betray mom. Since the Hydra's head is stuck shut, I was confused as to why his head exploded. And I realized they breathe fire throughout this whole thing. They're shooting fire.
No, they just do that sometimes.
It's a self-destruct mechanism.
Every round, there's a random chance.
Yeah, but since the mouth is shut, he can't, I guess it needs to release the fire, and he can't, so the Hydra's head just explodes. And then I died because it collapses, and then just this guy is on fire, just running away. Like it's just a long shot, and you see him like just running away on fire. At this point, Eric shows up. Everybody's trying to get out of there. I think. I don't know. Eric brings his army for backup.
Yeah, because the brownies show up with him.
Yeah. General Kale Shao Kahn has managed to steal Alora, and they charge. What's remaining of them charges at Eric, and he like just brute forces his way through their line of cavalry and kills a couple of them, and then just takes off with the baby back to the castle. And Willow is devastated.
Alora's gone. Look, they've taken her. There were too many of them.
Pretty much thinking they failed. He comes out exhausted, and Mad Mardigan's like the hype man. He's like, let's fucking ride, Willow. Let's do this shit.
Come on,
Death!
man.
Death!
Thunderstruck starts playing, and they hop on the horses.
Willow. Can you ride? Let's ride.
But yeah, Mad Mardigan's like fully like, he's like, I'm in it. Like, we are in it to win it. And then we cut, and the child is already dead. They've done the ritual.
Wow, that was a quick ritual. I know. That is the bossest looking evil castle, though, once we finally see.
My next note is Bev Morda's castle is badass. It looks like the gates of Mordor, but as a castle.
Yeah, it does.
Like, my note is, I would easily spend $300 on this playset.
Yeah,
that would be where I have all my Fisher Price knights as a kid.
It's super imposing, especially because it's like littered with bones, like across the land leading up to the castle. It's just like, It's very intimidating. Yeah, Kale has returned to the castle, tells mom that Saoirse has turned against us because she's like, where is she?
Where's Saoirse?
She has turned against His Highness.
Turned against me. Prepare for the ritual!
Everybody's pretty much, they're like right on the heels of all this, Willow and gang, so they form up outside the castle. Bev Morda comes down to see what she's got to deal with, and I love just her, the way she laughs. It just starts laughing as soon as she sees them, like, oh, What army are you guys attacking this with?
This is not an army.
What if she just laughed and then turned around and just left again? And they're like, what does that mean? Hey, lady.
She's plumb mad.
We're 1,000-foot tall, massive iron castle. Let them do whatever they want out there.
She turns into Oprah here and just starts handing out pig spells to everybody.
Just goes hog wild.
You're not warriors. You're pigs. You're all pigs. Pigs.
Mad Mardigan just starts to turn into Pumbaa.
Yeah, this got very... Well, actually, it makes sense because Val Kilmer played in Island of Dr. Moreau. But I was like, this got very Island of Dr. Moreau. Because it's not just like, poof, you're a pig. It's like, no, they're slowly going through this like body horror transformation.
Right. Yeah, the makeup's cool, but it's like the transformation is cut away, cut back, and they've transformed a little bit more.
But all the in-betweens looked good.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The makeup's good. You just don't really see thing sprouting or anything, really. But they aren't just like turning into pig people, they're turning into full-blown pigs, like swine. It's a bunch of swine in the field out there. But yeah, she's just like pointing and throwing, like, waving her arms like she's casting spells. She's like, pig, you're a pig, pig, pig. You get a pig. You get a pig.
Piggity, piggity, pig, 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 pig. Just like rapid fire, 2 finger guns.
She's like turning around, like behind her back, pig, pig,
over the shoulder, around the back. Just like dabs.
Dabs. Pig, pig, pig. Oh God. Even her own daughter is like, Mother, no! You're a pig too, you little traitor. So everybody's pigs. Meanwhile, Razel, she beckons Willow into the tent and she casts like some protection spell to protect them, protect everybody in the field, I guess. But it's like, now is the time. I've got to become a human so I can destroy this bitch. So he has to concentrate. And we're kind of cutting and seeing that after turning everybody into pigs, Bevmorda's back, just starting the ritual. Which ends up taking a long time.
Also, this was the first point because she like changes robes or something like that. And then I realized that under her robe, she's wearing full mummy garb.
Yeah, I saw that too.
It's like head to toe mummy wraps.
Yeah.
I didn't understand that either. Wife and I said the same thing at the same time. Why is she wearing that? Was she wearing that the whole time?
I mean, it wasn't revealed. Yeah, it's like her. It's like her undergarment. But I can't imagine taking that off.
It's a cool look overall for an evil queen. And I'm wondering if it's supposed to be like, oh, it's the blood of the ritual and she wraps herself and that's how she stays young. Because I feel like as time goes on, she just started getting older and older.
Yeah, I took that as like the ritual, like taking its toll on on her having to do that or something.
Like you use power to get power and then she's like, I'm refilled for a while.
Did she age over the course of the movie?
I think just in this scene.
Yeah, I think just once she starts the ritual started.
Yeah, because
she starts to look rough.
You don't really see her much in the beginning either. She's only in maybe 2 scenes through the whole movie leading up to this point, and they're very quick, and they don't focus on her. She's usually amongst an entire group that she's addressing, and this is the first time you see her. She's the sole focus on the entire shot.
Yeah, I think she looks as she did before until she starts trying to kill this baby. Although I guess the ritual, you can't just stab her. I guess that doesn't change anything. She's not gonna
a ritual, I guess.
She's not gonna. Maybe the ritual prevents any other baby from being born like this again. I don't know. But anyway, she starts the ritual. We cut back, and Willow is like trying desperately to turn Roselle back, and again she continues to just speak through, like the point earlier. He's trying to do the spell. She's like, concentrate. He's like, I am.
Fire begets snow. Locks war Danalora.
Willow.
Luwatha Danu.
Believe in the word.
Tuwatha.
Concentrate.
Locks war Danalora.
As he's doing this, and she's like transforming into all these different animals.
Right.
Evidently, this whole like effect or something, they wrote the program to smooth out like a morphing between multiple I guess like film footage. And this was what ended up going on to be used in like T2 and whatnot for the morphing scenes.
Oh, wow. The birth of technology. Yeah,
I was reading an article about how like the special effects for some of this in Willow ended up making like a big mark on some later things.
Makes sense.
While he's doing the spell, she turns into an ostrich, then a peacock, a turtle, and a tiger. I'm like, oh, leave her as a tiger. Like, she could do some damage there.
I thought the same.
And then he finishes the spell. She turns into not a beautiful young woman, but just a nice naked old lady. I'm glad that he has the sense to just like give her a blanket to cover up with immediately. There's no awkward like him like standing there, oh, you're naked. He's just like, here's a blanket.
When she tells Madmartigan before, like, I'm a young, beautiful woman, I thought she was just saying it as like a joke.
Yeah.
As they were doing it. But then after she transforms, she looks at herself as like surprised, and she's like, it's been that long.
Oh.
So she has been. Oh,
yeah, that's a good point.
She transformed like ages ago.
You're right. So the age kept up with her.
Which is kind of bonkers to think that it's like, so whatever age she was at, it's obviously been like tens and tens of years since she's transformed.
Right.
But she's still powerful enough as a sorceress to just be like, okay, I'm transformed back and let's go fight this evil witch.
Time to do this shit. I guess so.
It's like, you have not cast a spell in 40, 50 years.
If you don't use it, you lose it. Does not apply. So she's back and she's like, all right, first order of business, turn these piggies back into people. And I was like, aren't they going to be naked when they transform back? But they find all their clothes. But that's just a plot thing they don't really care about because you just assume. Funny.
They're all just
right, we're all
naked.
Russian.
Yeah, I think it'd be a little more awkward if they hyper-focused on clothing them for the next 20 minutes every time they transform
it'd be ridiculous. Now we do the great clothing sequence.
My queen, what should we do? Shoot them while they're unarmored. Don't worry, I'm protecting you from being turned to pigs. You're all chickens. Oh, shit.
More cuts to the ritual, and it's like, how long is this has been? It's a long ritual because she's had enough time to like seemingly individually change every pig back into a human. Well,
she makes it sound like the ritual is like, I have to get rid of the child of the prophecy. Like, she's gonna take me out someday. But if you're not like, the ritual isn't getting you power or making you young. She even says, I'm putting her into like the realm of darkness. Why don't you just kill the kid? Like, that's kind of the end of the prophecy too.
That was my point. Unless it's like, oh, she'll just be born again like some other day. I don't know.
Then you do it again.
I don't know. It just stabbed the kid as soon as you find it each time.
Yeah, takes some time for you. And
she's like, we're running out of money to like have the resources to keep rounding up all the pregnant women in my kingdom.
We're not a sustainable business.
Baby killing takes a lot of capital.
Please, my GoFundMe page.
So the ritual really seems to begin here. And they're wondering how they're going to get into the castle. Roselle's like, I can't use magic because she's got like her own magic, like protecting the castle. So Gopher Farmer Willow. No, Willow has an anecdote about, I don't know how this applies to gophers, but he brings up,
wait! Back home in my village, we have a lot of gophers.
Willow, this is war, not agriculture.
I know. but I have an idea how to get inside the castle.
He takes out a stick of dynamite.
Well, he was alluding to that they dig underground and hide themselves. I thought they were going to burrow under into the castle,
Yeah,
and I'm
that's what I
thinking, like,
thought.
how... You don't have time for this.
Yeah, I thought this was going to be like a great escape tunnel, and they just come up on the other side.
Exactly.
And then they get to the other side, and the queen's like, the baby's been dead for a good 10 hours.
It took you 7 days to do that tunnel.
So it cuts Roselle and Willow. Roselle pumps up Willow, like, let's do this. You can do this.
They both, like, slap each other's face.
Yeah. That song starts playing.
They both Wilhelm scream.
Oh, God.
Or they both Howie scream.
That'd be more appropriate.
Well, so I like how this is very, like, Luke outside the... oh, God, what was the second of the new Star Wars?
The Force
Luke
is
stands
here.
off against, the Force Awakens.
The surprise Jedi, man.
The
Where
last
it's just
Jedi.
like, that's the one. Where he's just, like, standing out there by himself on the open field.
Oh, yeah. They, Roselle and Willow approach, threaten, and the guards that they're gonna fucking kill him if they don't open the gate and give him the baby. The guards are like, just get down and kill him. So that gets them to open the gate, and I guess their super plan, they pull some Fremen shit here from Dune. If you've seen Dune, you know what I'm talking about. The guards go to attack Willow and Roselle, but behind them, hiding under tarps and in ditches, is everybody else. So once the army has ridden past them, they pop up and get through the castle through the open gates.
Which, for an evil army, I'm surprised they didn't just, as soon as they saw that, close the gates with their other, 5 riders still out there.
I'm surprised they just didn't have a line of archers on the wall and just shot them from there.
Yeah. Because as soon as they're like, it's a trap, and the 5 guys start riding back, they're like, but we have to let our guys in. Don't shut it.
No evil genius villain ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But sire, we hit our own troops. Well, that's tough luck for them.
Danger close.
Kill them all. Yeah.
They just put pink slips on arrows and shoot the 5 guys.
So they break into the castle with the gates open. There's this is another one of these long set pieces. Lots of different little scenes here, building up around the battle inside and the ritual that's taking place.
Eric drops boiling oil on a group of guys.
That's on a phalanx. They're standing there guarding themselves, and he just, man, that looks like it's. I just imagine the melting skin.
Ooh.
Yeah. Sorsha, Willow, and Roselle approach the chamber where Bevmorda is doing the ritual. And when you see her at this time, she's starting to look rough. She's like, this is where she starts. It seems like, is this process aging her, or is something just is falling? She's losing control of whatever is keeping her young or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it aged her.
All the power, unlimited. They approach and easily dispatch of the guards that she sicks on them.
It's nice to see Sorsha get a scene of her fighting everybody off. The henchmen in there. I feel like nowadays it's whenever they have to have a strong female character, it annoys me that they tie them out to be well, there has to be a female henchman for them to fight if that's the case. It's no, they can fight anybody. That's fine. It's that's why I like it here, where Sorsha just sword fights and easily just dispatches all the guards in the room.
Right.
I'm more surprised she's an actual lead combatant for the bad side.
Well, I mean,
her character, her character anyway. Just in general, just seeing a strong female.
Oh,
fighting.
I see. Yeah, in that world.
It's nepotism, really.
That's true.
Well,
she was blind to the
They could have made it just the queen's son instead.
True.
And made Mad Mardigan gay.
That would have been progressive.
they always have to do the romance bit, and I can't say I'm sick of it when I'm complaining about a 30-year-old movie. But, the only thing that I wish they had not done was make it that it was a romantic arc between her and Med Mardigan.
Every movie doesn't need comedy relief, and every movie doesn't need a romance angle.
It's true. Because I liked her a lot. Then when she switched sides, it was a little, I thought it was a little weird, but I mean, it worked.
What would have been more interesting if she stayed evil and then like the general with the skull thing is the one who has the change of heart? Just because like I would not have expected him to like meet the baby and be like, nope, can't do this. We're not killing a baby.
Cute baby.
Madame Mardigan falls in love with him. Wear that mask when we make love.
Hey, the skulls just do it.
Yeah, Sorsha kills the guards easily, and then she pleads with her mother to stop.
I won't let you kill that child.
Away! Above you!
She grabs hold of her like with a levitation, and it's like about to impale her on like the wall of spikes in the back. If not for Razel, pulls out Chalandria's wand and like saves her. So she's about to kill her own daughter just to keep her power.
Jail as old as time.
La 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 la. Then we cut and we see the brownies using a nest of bees on some soldiers. Not literally a nest of bees, but
Age of Empires 4 nest of bees.
If you're playing Age of Empires and you play the Chinese, you might never have heard about the nest of bees. But what are they? It's like kind of like just a siege
like a
weapon.
multi-fire rocket
yeah,
thing.
bolt. Yeah, large bolts.
Yeah,
and somehow they're firing it. But it's like, oh yeah, they're here too. The brownies. They just like kind of showed up again. To Tim's delight.
Like that's great that they're back there, but we don't need a scene of them like doing whoa, 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 and then like laughing and slapping each other, and then they're like whoa, and then they like fire off the thing, and then they're jumping around and laughing. It's like people are dying, man. We're dumping boiling oil on the enemies. You just probably killed 3 guys. The horrors I've seen.
Bevmorda fucks up Raziel. I forget what she does to her. She just...
Well, they're pretty even, because she sets Raziel on fire, then Raziel, like, freezes her solid.
Right.
And it's pretty even until, like, she knocks down, like, a pillar on top of Raziel.
Yes.
The wizard fight did kind of... I think that was the weakest point of the whole movie for me. And I feel the same way about Lord of the Rings 2 with the entire with the entire saga in one solid viewing. The only thing I hated about Lord of the Rings is the wizard fight between Sauron and Gandalf, which almost looks page for page exactly the same here.
Like
because
a telekinesis
at one point,
fight.
Yeah, they telekinetically push each other and they start spinning them around like... I don't even know how to describe it. They're just literally spinning in a circle, suspended in the air and pushing them each other into walls and stuff. And with how powerful these wizards are, and this is the best that they can do, I just felt it was really kind of...
I did like, though, when she slams Bevmorda like into the ceiling. Like, it looked painful.
Yeah, like, you think Raziel's down, she's under the rock, and Bevmorda comes over, and all of a sudden she just like grabs her wand and Shazama pajamas her around the room like a pinball.
I thought it was weak when like it just turns into like they're fighting over the wand. Like they're just like kind of like and they're both holding onto the wand trying to take it from the other.
I wanted to see them like both do the old like they both put their hand on the wand and they're like putting their hands higher
like
up on the wand. But finally she just like pokes her in the eyes.
Yeah. Oh, a wise guy. We cut back out to the battle, and Eric is fighting General Kale, who shanks him, stabs him, and Madame Mardigan witnesses this and runs up as Eric tumbles down the hill. He seems like he's enjoying that role a little bit too. Maybe he's rolling down the hill.
Eric's dying words to him: "You only work for yourself. I have allegiance to the king."
I thought Eric's death was a little dramatic. Like his movement, it was like overdone. Like, like I'd imagine from a stab when you're bleeding out, it's kind of like a slow, just like droop thing.
Yeah, because he gets stabbed in like the stomach, and then like within 2 minutes, he's just done. What if he was just like done with fighting? And he's like, "Go on," and then he leaves, and all of a sudden he just like gets up and hobbles out to his horse.
I was gonna say, like, Madmartigan looked. He's like, "You're not stabbed." He's like, "I know. I'm just done fighting."
It was startling.
Let me.
For a kid movie, I'm surprised some of the characters even died.
Yeah,
somebody's gonna die. Let me lay here a while.
Don't take that clip out of context. You heard it here first, folks. Dean says somebody's gotta die.
So that sends Madmartigan after Kale.
Well, because we knew how good friends Madmartigan and Eric were by the fact that Eric left him to die, refused to join the fight until the very end, and accused him of being a traitor every time they encountered each other.
I could sense there was we don't know what soured them, but yeah. I mean, he did come in to their aid earlier and stuff, so, you know.
True.
Water under the bridge. I did like the callback to, like, at the crossroads when he was locked up. He's like, "Eric, let me out and I'll win this war for you." And here, when he's dying, he's like,
"Win this war for me."
I was like, oh, that's nice. That's nice.
Madmartigan gets on Eric's horse and takes off. "You were right about me." As he's taking all of Eric's armor off to sell later. but I'm still alive.
He goes after Kale for revenge. So there's a sweet duel going on.
This was better than the Game of Thrones fight between the Hound and the Mountain.
Also,
the Clegane Bowl.
Clegane Bowl.
Did Madmartigan, like, he all of a sudden had like a sword gauntlet? Did he take that off Eric? Because he had a normal sword, which he grabs again later, that he had been
What
carrying.
do you mean, sorry? Sword gauntlet?
Because when he
this
first...
weird weapon.
Yeah, like when he goes to fight the general, he has like a gauntlet on one hand that has a blade attached to it.
Oh, yeah. I kind of don't remember.
Which he didn't have before, so I'm wondering, it's like, is that what Eric's been fighting with, and he took that off Eric?
It's the medieval Power Glove from Nintendo.
Man, I love the Power Glove. So they duke it out. He breaks his skull helmet with like a swinging backhanded sword. Smashes his skull helmet, but he's still alive.
The classic, leave him for dead and keep walking.
Right. Then Kale pursues him, and he stabs him in the gut. Kale keeps coming at him, and then this is a brutal kill. With Madmartigan like props up, he steps on like a skateboard, steps on a sword and props it up, and just pulls him onto it.
That was definitely one of my favorite kills I've ever seen.
It surprised me. I was not like when he stabs him and he spins and stabs him again, and then I was like, oh, and then he kicks the sword up. I was like, what?
Yeah, he like tramps on like a skateboard.
Yeah. It was like Big Trouble Little China when Jack Burton's fighting the other guy, and he like jumps towards him, and he falls on his back, and he pushes his like boot knife forward. It just like kills the guy that way, and then he can't get him off him.
Yeah, he slow and impaling death, and he just kicks him off the bridge. It's not like, oh, he falls into a pit. He just falls like 15 feet down. It just falls off the bridge. I'm still alive. That hurt.
He lands on Eric.
Then it cuts. We're back with the struggle with Razel and Morta, and Razel's just landing bombs on her. The sound effect when Razel's punching her in the face. And it just sounds like haymakers. Like she's got some strength there. But she just Bevmorda dispatches her. She's not dead, but she incapacitates her. And that's when Willow steps up with the stone acorns.
I'm a great sorcerer. Greater than Rizal. Greater than you, even.
She just thinks he's throwing a whatever at him. She catches the acorn and it starts to turn her hand to stone. And I forgot what happened here. I was like, oh shit, is this how they beat her?
Well, I thought it was a little funny considering that the way that she catches the acorn, he clearly missed.
Yes.
That's a good point.
Thing she caught it.
She like reaches slightly out to her side to grab it.
Willow, you fool. Her arm starts to turn to stone, but she reverses it with her dark death magic. Her baby blood magic.
It's like a weird side brand of Oshkosh Bagosh.
Yeah.
Baby blood magic.
I think, is it during this time? My notes go fast and furious here. I think Willow ends up getting Alora off the altar. And he ducks behind some, whatever furniture in the room. And this is where he pulls off his greatest trick. He says he's going to... He comes out with Alora from behind the stacks of whatever.
You stupid hag! With my magic, I'll send her into a...
You're no sorcerer!
Into a realm where evil cannot touch her.
Impossible!
Like, Pex can't do that. Maybe she doesn't sound like she says Peck. But he does the old hide the pig trick. And she falls for a hook, line, and sinker.
It baffles me that the way she goes out is that he blew her mind so much with his magic trick.
David blamed her to death.
She's
David
like,
Blaine,
impossible. And he does it, and she's like, oh, but what? And she like stumbles into her ritual, knocks everything over, lights herself like lightning strikes her.
Yeah.
It's terrible, but that same thing happened to a friend of mine at a David Copperfield show.
You got struck by lightning after the illusion?
Yeah. Next, I'm going to make the Statue of Liberty disappear. What?
You could see his skull and everything.
I miss Steve.
R.I.P. Steve.
I remember his last words, win this war for me. I was like, what? We're at a Vegas show.
Yeah, so her mind is blown that he just made Alora disappear. And lightning strikes. You can see her bones as the lightning just continuously strikes her. She's still alive. And then, I don't know, I know there was like a pot or a bowl knocked over with red essence or whatever, and that kind of like starts smoking and filling up the room, and she turns into that and just fucking disappears in the sky. I don't know. It's almost like the banishment she was going to do to the child happens to her instead, kind of. That's what I'm assuming kind of happens.
It's a good magic trick.
She disappears into the fire red smoke, and that's it.
And Burglecut pops his head, and I saw how he did it.
Look, he ruins it. He runs in. The baby's back here. Look, it's right here. I knew it.
Willow's a fraud. I get his crops.
And the beans. Not the beans. So we cut, and everybody's hunky-dory. Everybody's clean. Everybody's wearing nice, fresh clothes.
A lot of people in town that weren't there before the battle.
They sprung up. Rizal bestows a sweet book of magic onto Willow, but I think it's just filled with card tricks and like sleight of hand maneuvers.
Willow?
Yeah, I kind of doubt she's going to give him, advanced spellcasting rank 10. So the guy that took like 3 weeks probably to learn one spell with a master sorcerer.
Willow, I grant you this book. Just remember the words. Klata, Varata, Nikto. Do you remember Willow? Yeah, I remember.
This book smells, Razel. Feels like my lampshades at home.
Made from Eric.
His sacrifice is our benefit. What if none of it was real and it was all just a test for his illusions, just to become a better fake magician?
Or we find out that Bev Morta was evil, but Raziel and this princess were like the next evil.
Yeah, that's the Twilight Zone ending.
Thank you, Willow, for saving us.
Just
like the clouds start.
Zooms in and her eyes just flash red for a brief moment. Or turns and it's like Thriller, like the eyes.
General Kale like pops back up like over the top of the castle and he's like, "You weak, pathetic fools."
I've come for your souls.
I don't think so.
And then we get so there's not really an ending for Mad Mardigan, and especially with all they went through and the character change, it's just kind of like, yeah, that's done. Like, that's it.
Yeah. He gets a book, he gets a horse. They say, "Well, thanks." And he just goes home.
I think I'd like to go home now. I'd like to go home. Return to the village. Bubble Butt is the first to greet them. I forget what happens here.
Willow introduces
a magic bird.
Yeah, he shows them how he got this magic book and he learned a spell in it that creates a bird that shits directly into Burglekutt's mouth. I don't know if that is the spell or if it just happened to happen organically. But what's important is it did happen.
Nobody likes me. And holy shit, that pull out shot, like, that is a scenic place they're living in. Their villages. Yeah.
I think one of my top places to ever live would be Middle Earth, but this place is a real close second.
Well, I just love the whole, like, it seems so homey then the camera pulls back, like, after he sees his wife and kids, and, like, the fun music kicks in of, like, the band in town, and everybody starts, like, having another festival.
I want that music, like
I feel like Willow overall, like, harkens back to a time in movies that I am nostalgic for, of that, like, fantasy adventure that we have now, but I feel like it's just, when it does happen, it doesn't feel like the movies from this time period. Like, there's it seems a little too glossy. It seems a little too...
Yeah. It makes me want them to... I don't know. I guess it's because of the populace, the young people, I don't know. Like, kids want big and better and glitzier, but... I don't know. There's a charm. It's like they don't make them like they used to, and they could, but like they never will again. Like, they're like, no, we've moved on.
A movie like this, where like, yeah, like it's a fun fantasy film. Like, yeah, kids could watch it, but it's not. They don't cater to. Yeah, we're not gonna have anything in this, so kids can watch it. No, Mad Mardigan kills that guy pretty hard. Like, the whole transformation of the pigs. Like, it's a movie I watched as a kid, without necessarily like turning everything kid friendly. There's no like really eye rolling one liners that you're like, that's kind of forced. I feel like a lot of stuff has that nowadays, or like all of the obvious foreshadowing of.
It's lighthearted, but it's definitely something kids can handle. Like, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not outside of the realm of a kid being able to watch this movie.
I would have loved this.
There's some slightly scary elements. There's some, but it's not like too intense.
I would have loved this as a kid if I watched it then.
Yeah.
The only reason I never seen it was because it's a Lucasfilm movie, and aside from Indiana Jones and Star Wars being so predominant in just pop culture through our whole lives, Willow kind of got the short end of the stick with that. So where do you get to play that on broadcast TV? And I never ever seen it. by the time I realized that, this movie exists, I was already in my late teenage years, and I had no interest in seeing it.
I forgot what channel it was. The WB, but I forgot what they used to call it. But it was Channel 11 growing up, and I feel like they had Willow on I don't know, maybe once a month, but it was always like a mid-afternoon Saturday movie type thing. And that's when we used to always watch it. Man, Channel 11, that's where I found Predator 2 for the first time.
Predator 2, the Predators, predating.
The Predator 2.
Predators.
Meet the Predators. That's the one with Adrian Brody, right?
Predator 7, The New Blood.
I Know What You Did Last Predator? No, that doesn't work.
And Land Before Time 6. So, I think we're in agreement that Willow holds up and is still a great movie.
Willow
I really liked it.
Oh, I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah, this is right up there with Princess Bride and all of those same kind of fairy tale fantasy kind of movies from the 80s. This definitely stands up with them.
Yeah, it's well made. It doesn't feel cheap really anywhere. It feels like just a solidly made movie.
Which I was reading something about how when this came out and they feel it didn't do as well because Princess Bride had already come out. But I feel like just because they both are kind of medieval era, I wouldn't really compare both of them because this is so hard into that fantasy, sword and sorcery aspect. And Princess Bride was not granted you have the whole rodents of unusual size and all of that stuff, but there's really no sword and sorcery to it.
There's a different tone. There's a very clearly a different tone going
Princess
on.
Bride felt more like a Errol Flynn kind of movie.
Yeah, it's more like a swashbuckling.
It's tongue in cheek a bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Which still love that, but it's
Sure.
like you always say, it's apples and oranges.
Yep.
Yeah.
You can't compare these two.
And then whereas this one, I feel it's more akin to King Arthur storytelling and that kind of aspect.
I would put this closer to Legend and Lady Hawk than I would Princess Bride.
Or Neverending Story. There's there's a lot of different movies with that same kind of tone.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is more akin to Neverending as far as the mix of seriousness. I mean, I guess Neverending Story is probably a little more, not dark, but serious, quote unquote.
It's dark as fuck. I don't remember crying hysterically for a horse drowning in this one.
That's true. I'm looking. I don't even know what Lady Hawk is, but now I'm looking. I want to keep it that way.
Matthew Broderick.
I want to keep it that way. I don't want to know anything.
I will pick Lady Hawk this year. Mark my words.
Yeah, I won't read into it at all. I'll just throw it on whenever it's time.
Just going cold.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just know it's reference from Ready Player One. That's about it. Never seen it.
Lady Hawk is one I found on the Action Channel that I've mentioned before. That when we had satellite for a while, my brother and I found that channel, and it was just 80s action movies and then all sorts of random anime. The Action Channel was just the focus point of everything that I liked and wanted as a middle schooler during that time frame. And they just played Lady Hawk once a week.
So
that's Willow.
Final thoughts.
Loved it.
No, we always do this. We give our final thoughts and then we say, are there any final thoughts? Nope.
Are there finaler thoughts?
Really
I really didn't
thoughts.
have that many notes. It was kind of tough too because I was just legitimately watching at this time, and it was just I really did like it.
Yeah, it was something I could write notes while watching it. Sometimes if I have a lot to say, I have to constantly be stopping the movie to write notes and not miss anything. But here it was just kind of I didn't feel rushed to write notes. I was just it was easy to watch and I didn't have so much to say about it.
Usually whenever I'm hosting, my wife is always asking what movie are you guys doing this month? And I'll say I'll Jingle All the Way or Predator, this and that. Depending on the movie, she'll watch it with me just for the sake of, I'm watching a movie. Do you want to watch it with me? But whenever I'm hosting, I always feel bad because it's you're not going to want to watch it with me because I'm going to be pausing it every 3 minutes because I'm going to have to write this whole long like exposition bit,
right?
And then I can continue playing. You're going to get bored.
What you need is like the speech to text, and just dictate as it goes.
Well, thank you.
So what is next time, Nick?
Fuck.
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Cut this whole segment. Cut all of it. Cut all of it.
It's bullshit.
We're at 3.5 hours. Cut an hour out.
Bullshit.
No, let's start from scratch.
Welcome back to Screen Refresh, a show where we...
Welcome to Rule of Thirds.
Well,
top 3 hosts I want to replace, starting with Nick and then followed by Dean.
Thank you again for coming along on another journey with us as we watched Willow. As always, you can find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Screen Refresh, or email us your own movie memories at screenrefresh@gmail.com. Get ready for another great year in 2022 and catch us on Rule of Thirds the third Monday of the month. That's all from us for now. So, for my co-hosts Nick and Tim, this is Dean saying Happy New Year, and we'll see you next time. Somebody's gonna die.